The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
We all know January is one of the coldest months of the year, and not that cheery, fun kind of Christmas cold. Nah, just the dark, dank January cold. Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is well aware of this, and that's why they're offering $40 off a furnace tune-up to keep you warm during the Minnesota cold. The last thing you want is to be huddled around an iffy space heater you bought from some shady targeted ad. Oh, and how about this? Standard Heating and Air Conditioning has now been helping Minnesotans for over 95 years. So book your appointment now at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93.
Yeah, she's a stiff sumbitch out there by damn. 3, 4, 5, 6 below zero. Step outside, Josh, it's like a slap to your adorable hairless face.
Yeah, it's the kind where your face freezes up pretty. Whatever face you make on the way out, smile, frown, anything, it's going to stay there for a little bit.
Welcome to the 93X Half-Ass Morning Show, you hardy Minnesotans. Brand new work week. Big ball game tonight. Everybody's on edge. Everybody hates everybody else.
Oh, I forgot about that. Darn it.
Are you joking?
She did not.
There's no way you forgot about that.
Just this morning, for about 15 minutes or so, I forgot. So the anxiety's been at bay, but now I got to worry about that.
Well, you've been experimenting with the choking game, and it just kind of, your brain fog takes a little while to catch back up.
That's true.
Our doctor friend, Dr. P. Jesus, will be visiting us in studio later on this morning. He wants to get Ashley's blood pressure checked out before tonight's game.
That's probably a good call.
You may not be healthy enough to watch tonight's ball game, but we'll find out after Dr. P gets a hold of you.
It would be fun to have you hooked up to a heart monitor so we could track it during the game, Ashley.
For last week, I actually have this handy-dandy app on my phone that can check my my heart rate. So you put your finger over your camera on your phone, and it does something. And it said mine was at 110 at the start of the Vikings game.
I have no idea if that's a lot or a little.
That is high. That is high.
At the start of the game already?
Yeah, because of the buildup of anxiety.
Yeah, I know a thing or two about heart issues, and that's up there for what they call a resting heart rate. Well, maybe he ought to get a look at you.
That's probably a good idea.
Maybe you're not healthy enough to watch tonight's game, not without a spotter. Maybe you need a spotter.
Yeah, you know how anytime they throw out like an exercise regime, they always say, well, check with your doctor first to make sure you're healthy enough to work out. Maybe you need to find out if you're healthy enough to watch a Vikings playoff game.
They'd probably
Don't flip out.
No.
Don't flip out. Dana, what's this online gimmick going around where you're going to buy the Minnesota Twins? What's the story here?
Did you get a raise?
Are you leaving us or something? Over the weekend, Josh showed me something on the internet about you buying the Minnesota Twins. Where can we go with this?
Well, there's a website called Twins Daily that covers the Twins very thoroughly. They're very popular. They do a really good job. And I know a lot of the guys that work there, and one of them does a weekly parody column, kind of like an Onion-style Twins column. And last week, I suppose, on Friday, he put out a column about kind of laughing at the fact that a low-paid radio personality is interested in buying the Minnesota Twins.
So a friend of yours wrote that?
Yes, he did.
So did he? And you were quoted in it a couple times, so we asked you for a couple quotes.
No, those were all made-up quotes.
He made those up because they were very you.
Yeah, they were. No, he knows me very well. He's a very good friend of mine.
He doesn't know where you're from.
No, yeah, he got me. For some reason, he put it down as Woodbury instead of Egan, but. It was very funny. A lot of inside jokes. I had no idea he was doing it, and he didn't even tell me until people started passing it along to me. They're like, "Hey, look what Stu did." And it was very well done. It was very funny. And no, I'm not. I am interested in buying the Twins. I just don't have the capital.
I'm raising some capital. I've invested everything I have in some Hawk Tua girl coin.
Oh, so you're gonna be rich, bro.
I'm expecting that to hit any second now.
Josh, I have something to tell you.
Now, I didn't read this article. Maybe I should. This phony Dana's going to buy the Twins online article. I didn't read it, but I did notice the headline, and I got irritated right away. Shock jock plans on buying the Twins. Whatever. I can't remember the exact. that term, fellow journalists, and I don't like to call ourselves journalists, but because it sounds grandiose. It sounds like we're trying to make ourselves out to be something that we're not, but yet sometimes you have to use that term because technically that is what we're doing. But fellow journalists have never and will never have any respect for what we do, no matter how much. And I know this article was a joke, but we still hear that a lot, don't we, Josh? Shock jock. It's not 1987 anymore.
No, and shock jocks are attempting to be shocking. They're going for that. That's their gist.
No matter how much morning radio has changed since the 80s and 90s, no matter how much we've changed personally, we'll always be handed the shock jock label. I've always hated that term.
Yeah, I've never liked it either. Just because it's like, to me, shock jocks, that's their goal. You know, they're out there trying to get people riled up and stuff like that. Like Howard Stern was a shock jock. I mean, that was his thing. He's admitted that. He said that at one time in his life, that's what he wanted to do, piss people off.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll have to look that article up and give it a good read.
It was funny. Yeah, I can't believe those weren't your quotes because...
What were some of the quotes?
Let me see.
He quoted my fiance as saying he won't stop talking about, when he's not talking about Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Bills, he's talking about how cool it would be to buy the Twins because, quote, it would be a really good bit. And then he quoted me as saying, yeah, it would be a great bit.
And then he said, one of your quotes is, I have a real good feeling about the pull tab box down at the local bar. Hit it up this weekend, order some wings, watch some football, pull some winners, boom, let's play. That is very Dana.
Yeah,
that is
definitely
a very Dana thing to say.
It really is.
All right. Fun times. Yeah, thanks a lot, Ask Me About CrossFit Jesus, who just texted in to say, shock jock is just a small part of your journey.
Gross.
Shut up, dude. Anything happen over the weekend I should know about, Josh?
Boy, nothing really. Pretty low key. How about yourself? Which is my favorite type of
very
weekend.
low key, very low key. Yeah. I was home the majority of the time, and I had no stinking problem with that. No problem at all.
I guess the biggest controversy over the weekend is we went to a brunch yesterday with a big group of the family.
A brunch.
And one of the kids started passing around this little notepad, and everyone had to draw something on it, and then, you figure out what you drew at the end of it, right?
Okay, how many people at the table?
11, I think.
And you pass around a piece of paper. The kid started?
Yeah, one of the kids started it.
Okay. This sounds like some kind of a Mad Libs type of
exactly,
a scene.
Except for you're drawing something out.
All right.
Pictionary.
It's like telestrations.
And it became dictionary because somebody would draw a wiener and we never figured out who it was.
Someone at the table drew a penis
On every single drawing that went around.
Oh, you did this multiple
Oh, yeah,
times.
plenty of times.
But no one would fess up to be the penis maker.
No, and so I think there might have been more than one. I think there could have been a couple in there trying to throw us off the scent. I assumed it was the two 13-year-old boys that were doing that, but I was sitting right next to one of them, and I never saw him do it.
The kids are the ones who had the idea for the game?
Yeah, so right now everyone has lost their brunch privileges until we can figure out who's being so inappropriate at a restaurant.
How dare they sully the good name of brunch like that?
It had to have been the young people.
That's what I thought. But I'm wondering if it was one of the older ones.
I could picture the older ones doing it.
I was going to ask if your daughter was there.
Yeah, she was.
It was her.
I was going to ask if your mother was there.
No, she wasn't there.
Well, that's a mystery.
Yeah,
That
it is a
sounds fun.
mystery. Yeah, that was the biggest controversy over the weekend, which means it's a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, she was a low-key sumbitch. So everyone's touching themselves over the Vikes game tonight, and it ought to be a hell of an operation. Let's recognize some. Let's take the time to recognize some other local athletes. I was reading something yesterday. Never heard anything like this before in my life. A couple of Minnesotans have qualified for the National Meat Cutting Championships.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, this seems pretty sweet.
It does. Add this to the list of skills I wish I possessed. Now, this event, if you've never heard of such a thing, and I haven't, this event pits Texas Roadhouse meat cutters, whatever that means.
Ooh.
Or did they mean the restaurant?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. I thought maybe.
Yeah, because the guys were wearing Texas Roadhouse sweatshirts.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe Texas Roadhouse meat cutting was a certain style of meat cutting, and then there's another. Okay. So from the restaurant, if dudes who work at Texas Roadhouse restaurants all over the country compete against each other in a timed butchery skills showcase. Now, that sounds like a good way to accidentally amputate my index finger.
Absolutely. Going that fast?
Is that okay? So they really have to speed through. Have you watched video of this, Josh?
I didn't see was there video on the
Yeah, there's
article?
video.
I didn't watch the video on it.
Yep.
So there's another round of the playoffs in this meat cutting competition. Oh, what is it today? The 13th. So in a couple, 3 days down there in Dallas.
It's on the 16th, whenever that is.
A couple days away down in Dallas. They continue on this competition. Here are the Minnesotans involved. Justino Sanchez of Coon Rapids, Dan Willick of Duluth will take on 24 other professional butchers who have advanced through regional competitions across 8 central United States states, attempting to qualify for the final in March. So it's a Midwestern thing, it sounds to me. So 2 guys from Minnesota are in there. Each competitor is given 20 to 30 pounds of beef from which they must carve out a sirloin, a fillet, and a ribeye. They'll be stationed on an ice rink to simulate a 35-degree cooler. Can we give the boys some broom ball shoes or something so they're not slipping on the ice while carrying razor-sharp butcher knives?
I think that just kind of adds to the fun.
It'll probably be on one of those rugs. If they're going to sing the national anthem, they'll roll one of those out there.
Yeah, it looks like they're standing on some type of thing that helps them.
Oh, well, that
It's like
takes
a foam pad.
that takes some of the excitement away. Men on ice with butcher knives added some excitement for me personally.
Right. It's kind of like, why do you watch NASCAR? You watch for the crashes. I'd want to watch this for the opportunity that somebody might slip and machete goes flying in the air and comes down and gets them right in the head.
So they're going for meat cutter of the year.
Weren't you
Super
once
cool.
meat beater of the year, Dana? I thought you want some sort of
3 years running, baby.
Yeah, you want a meat beating contest.
Meat cutter of the year. It's a
so-
$25,000 prize. Now, real quick, let me just wrap this up, and then we can go in all different directions with it, hopefully. The group, again, the Minnesota guys in this competition, Sanchez from Coon Rapids, Willick, whatever it is, from Duluth. They'll compete against 4 Iowegians and 2 effing numbskulls from Wisconsin.
Boo.
Get it done, boys.
That would be so tough because it's like you need to cut the meat and then make sure it's like a certain weight, I'm sure. You know?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It doesn't look like I know it's timed, but it doesn't look like they're going very fast.
Well,
More precision than speed.
Yeah,
I've
that's
never
what it
heard of
seems
anything like this, and I'm guessing these boys, if you're in the meat cutters playoffs, you've cut up so many stinking sirloins, fillets, and ribeyes, you could do it in your damn sleep. You could probably estimate the weight by sight. These are real pros, but I've just never heard of anything like this. And like I said, add this to the long list of skills I wish I possessed. I'm not a foodie. As a matter of fact, I'm very anti-foodie. But this still is something cool.
I'd be impressed, no matter the time or whatever, if I could even find a sirloin, fillet, and ribeye. If he handed me a big piece of meat.
And you're going to determine what it was.
I don't know what's what.
Oh, I mean, if
I can figure it out.
I can't determine those things by sight. Again, I'm the last thing you would ever call, the last person you'd ever call a foodie. I don't care what it is. Cook it up, I'll eat it.
I'm
Yeah,
jealous.
same here. For the first thing I'd need to know is, okay, what animal?
Yeah.
Where do we get these animals? From what animal?
I'm
well,
jealous,
you don't count
Josh.
Wapple because you're a trained cook.
Yeah. Like
Because-
I could definitely find the fillet, the sirloin. I could do it.
Anyone ever had a memorable cooking accident?
Oh, I remember the first time I learned you shouldn't cook like pan fry something while wearing a short sleeve shirt or something like that.
Like
All
bacon.
Right. You sting yourself.
Yeah.
You splash yourself with the hot grease, that kind of a thing.
I've had plenty.
You've had plenty.
Yeah, I cut myself quite a bit.
You have all your appendages.
Yeah, I've gotten pretty close with my thumb, but my nail has blocked it. But I've cut like maybe halfway through my thumbnail, and that's a terrifying experience.
Oh,
Yeah, I cut my finger to the bone once while sharpening a knife when I worked at a restaurant.
I was going to say, like, probably the worst one that I got was opening up a can of spruce beans.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, spruce beans will get you.
Yep.
Spruce beans?
Yeah.
I don't even know what
spruce
that
beans.
is.
What is that?
Well, like, it basically in a can. So, like, I opened up the can and I just sliced my thumb. It was bad.
So you don't want to tell us what a spruce bean is?
It's like a...
Is it industry stuff that we wouldn't understand?
It's like a little tiny, I don't know. Like, it's in stir fry.
Oh, okay.
Spruce bean.
And that can opener or the can opened up your hand?
The can lid.
Yeah.
So, like, I opened it and then I, like, went around with my thumb and, And I'm horrible with blood, so I almost fainted. It was bad.
Oh, I thought of one this is probably the stupidest one I ever had. I had a pan in the oven, and it was between two oven racks. And so I tried to put my hand in there to like sprinkle some cheese on top of the pan. But then I went too high, so I hit the rack above, and then I got scared and I hit the rack below. It was just like back and forth.
You pinballed back and forth between 350-degree racks.
Oh gosh, yeah. My boyfriend was just like, "Come on, Ashley, get it together, slow down."
I bet you the only cooking utensils I've ever handled in my life, Josh, are a spatula and a spoon.
That's all you need.
Just
Nick.
stirring up that, what do they call that stuff I love so much? Stirring
Mac
up
and
that,
cheese.
no, you're close. Hamburger helper. Stirring up hamburger helper.
I love hamburger helper.
Yeah.
So good.
Spatula, of course, I use that to, what do you do with the ground beef? You kind of
Yeah, you kind of move
Separate
it
it,
around.
bang it out, whatever, yeah.
I watched my cousin once not paying attention. Well, he was probably 4 shots into the night. He went to grab a pizza and forgot to put a hot pan holder on.
Oh, I've been there.
And it was like the last second, I'm like, wait. By that time, it was too late.
His bare hand.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it bubbled up quick, man. It was so gross.
Ouchie, ouchie.
You gotta get a glove.
Well, he's got to get like just be sober every once in a while when you're doing something.
So when I worked in the kitchen, this guy, he would just grab something. So a salamander, it's like super hot. It's basically like a broiler. It gets
Salamander.
it gets to like 700 degrees.
Like
super hot.
the little slimy bastards I found in my window well when I was a kid.
Yep. Kind of.
There's a
but-
cooking utensil called a salamander.
Yeah, it's like basically like an open oven, like a broiler. So you would put like soups and stuff. So if you make French onion soup, you'd put that up there and then, kind of brown the cheese. This guy would just grab everything straight out of it with his bare hand and just sit there with this massive bowl of hot soup and without a hot pad.
Nobody messed with that guy in the kitchen.
I was
telling
like,
me
are you absolutely crazy?
He
Calluses.
may have developed calluses to where he was tolerant of such heat.
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was wild.
My wife's like that too, where for whatever reason we bought plates. Well, we got them at the dollar store. Maybe that has something to do with it. But that the majority of the heat from the microwave goes in the plate, and sometimes the food every once in a while.
Yeah.
And she can pull those things out, and if she hands you one, you need a warning.
Yeah.
She can hold on to that stuff, no problem.
The friggin' meat cutting championships. I guess, I don't know. Search your television listings. I don't know if this is going to be televised. Maybe there'll be a radio broadcast of the meat cutting challenge.
Oh, a couple of shock jocks, we'll call it. The mandolin slicer.
Oh, that gets people.
Big Daddy Love Bucket Jesus almost lost part of a finger. Oh, yeah, I've come close.
That is the one thing in the kitchen that absolutely destroys people. A mandolin is the worst thing in the kitchen. Oh.
Here's a listener that says, come over to my place. The only spot where we use a spatula is in the bedroom.
Well.
What are we doing there? What are we doing? Get back to us as to what you're doing with that spatula.
Did you throw away that sex paddle you have, Ashley?
No,
No.
it's in.
It's no longer hanging on the bedroom wall.
No,
sex
it's
paddle,
not.
Josh.
It's not up on the bedroom wall anymore because my boyfriend's mom comes and watches the dog sometimes.
Comes and watches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would
Look at them. They're dogs.
She doesn't have to see that.
I am
Ashley,
watching them.
don't ever throw away a sex paddle.
I would never. It's leather. That's a good one. It's a really nice one.
That one's a keeper. I wish I would have. I wish I would have been present for this. But one of my favorite stories, as far as a conversation on mangling yourself in the kitchen. Oh well, I guess I have a couple stories. My dad created a brand new vagina in the palm of his hand, cleaning deer.
Oh, no, that's
Many years ago. Many years ago. I never was a deer hunter. My brother and my dad were the deer hunters. I much rather just stay inside. I was never drawn to that. But my dad and my brother got very dialed into deer hunting from the time we were kids. And but I did enjoy when the carcasses would come home. I did enjoy helping cleaning the animals because it became a massive beer party. I loved that part of it. I loved it when I'd come home and there'd be carcass hanging in the garage, which meant get out the lethally sharp fillet knives. Let's each drink a case of beer and see what happens. And 9 times out of 10, everything was fine. But one night, my old man slipped with that fillet knife. And like I said, he made himself a girlfriend in the palm of his left hand. Oh, that was something. I'll never forget the noise he made. And, of course, he was the first guy to say, all right, if I catch anybody cutting towards their open hand, by God, there's going to be hell to pay. And that's exactly what he did. And I'll never forget the sound he made. It was, music in the background. We all got a canned Budweiser in front. And I heard him go, oh.
Yep.
That's the noise. And he said, I did it this time, boys. But, of course, he doesn't want to go to the hospital. I mean, I saw the wound. It was friggin' outrageous how deeply he cut. But no, we can't go to the hospital. That's what wimps would do. We're tough guys. Mm-hmm. So he wraps it with a paper towel, spends the rest of the night with his left arm in the air. Because you got to keep it elevated, right? Yep. So it became a joke. He's got his left hand up like he's raising his hand in a class all night long. Blood is pouring down his arm. Drinking beer, smoking cigarettes. Doesn't go to the doctor until 2 days later. And the doctor, when he unwrapped, said, are you crazy? You could have died from this. That was one, I don't know, I guess maybe that's not a cooking accident, but there was another friend of mine where I really wish I would have been there. They went to a sandwich shop, and they ordered their big, giant, foot-long sandwich. And the employee on the other side of the glass is asking my friend, okay, what do you want on it? And, of course, the sandwich guy has a very sharp knife to cut the bread. And my friend begins to say, well, put some pickles on there, put some tomatoes on there. And while the employee is cutting the bread, the employee absolutely fillets his free hand. But he must have been so cold, maybe, from handling the meats all day long, he didn't feel it. So the sandwich maker begins to make my friend's sandwich and doesn't realize he's pouring blood onto the sandwich. But he's going so fast. What else do you want? Olives? Okay, pickles. He's pouring blood. And my friend, just to mess with him, says, yeah, I'll take some jalapenos on there, put some bacon, plasma, some mayonnaise. And when my friend said plasma, the bleeding sandwich maker reached for the item and then said, wait a minute, you want what? And my buddy said, look at your hand, for Christ's sake. You're spraying blood all over my sandwich.
He must have just sharpened the knives. The sharper the knife, the less it hurts.
Must have.
I'd want a discount on that sandwich.
Yeah.
Which I would still eat.
Yeah, I'd still eat that. 100%.
You are not eating that.
No, I think I'd probably just leave the restaurant at that point.
The poor guy.
When I sliced my finger, I learned a couple things. One, some people are so bad with blood they'll pass out. Because I was wearing all white. I was a pantry cook, and I didn't really do any cooking. It was mostly just prepping stuff.
Then you had to wear that white cloak.
Yeah, everything was white. Yeah. Everything we wore was white. And so my finger basically exploded. And it never hurt. This knife by that time was so sharp, and I'm holding on to it. You know how you kind of wait for the pain to kick in?
Yeah.
And it never did. So I just put a Band-Aid on it, but it wouldn't stop. And so my boss, I go to her and I go, no, I take that back. Our buddy Marcel. He worked.
I love you, Marcel.
Me too. That guy, not only was he in the military, but he was also an EMT, and then he was the best cook I've ever met.
And he was an ass magnet.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I went back and
you
saw.
told Marcel.
Yeah, I just asked him. I'm like, hey, how bad is this? And he started laughing. He's like, oh, yeah, you got to go to the hospital. I'm like, all right. And I was covered in blood like the movie Carrie, if anybody knows that reference.
Oh, of course.
So I go to tell one of my managers, hey, I got a bolt. I got to go to the... And she passed out. I was like, uh-oh. So I went to tell my other manager.
Jesus.
He passed out. He gets like, oh, his was more dramatic. He fell back
You
into
made
his
two
seat.
people faint?
Yeah, I mean, it was
awesome.
bad.
That would be me. I would definitely faint.
But
Josh, please tell me they walked you out through the front door, like paraded you through like the restaurant so all the customers could just see this blood-soaked chef walking through.
Nothing like that, but I'll tell you what. The previous 2 weeks was the most I'd ever worked at that restaurant. I mean, I was filling in for people. I put in over full-time hours, and I was just a part-time guy. I was going to school at the time, whatever. And so I had workers' comp. It's the greatest thing I've ever done. They paid for everything, including my mileage to Walgreens to get Band-Aids. It never hurt. And I told them, hey, I can come back to work. I'm fine. But they wouldn't let me because of...
Yeah, you have to wait like a month or something.
It was like
that.
2 weeks.
Getting paid to sit around and do nothing because you hurt yourself at work.
And they based it on my previous 2 weeks, which I felt like I was robbing the company, to be honest.
What a concept.
What a dream, yeah.
One of our listeners has texted in to say that one night they deep fried their own, as Josh would say, fingies.
Oh, no, tingers.
Oh, you say tingers.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
ouch.
I'm sorry, not fingies. I thought last week when it was very cold in here, you said you could not feel your fingies.
Tingers.
Tingers?
Yeah, that's what my kid used to
It's
say.
the liquor talking.
I saw a video yesterday of this guy that dropped his phone in a deep fryer, and he, without thinking, he went in after it.
Oh, I would.
His phone was totally fine. He ended
can't
up
do
getting
that.
like second-degree burns.
You
Was
can't.
it worth it?
You know, I could see Dana going, well, as you pull it out and there's no meat left on your arm, oh, thank God the phone's okay.
Phone works, guys. Phone works.
Oh, jeez.
That happened when I was working at McDonald's, and like we were messing around, and one of the managers took someone's phone and threw it back to him. It hit his hands, and it went right in the fryer, and it went underneath. Oh, that was so much fun.
I could see, though, actually that instant reaction, right, of just going to grab it, not thinking about it.
Yeah, just
100%.
instinct takes over.
One of our listeners hurt themselves while opening up a can of whoop ass.
I've been on the other end of that. The person that opens the can, they can do some damage to you.
We got to get going again. As usual, we're very happy to have you along this morning on the program. It's Monday. We're just getting things fired up.
Congrats, Dana, by the way, on owning the Twins.
Yeah, thank you. I have jobs for all of you. Josh, I think you're going to be GM. Wapple, you're going to be the new TC.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I'll get you guys all set up.
That's wonderful.
I'd like to skipper the ball club.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the manager.
I'd like to skipper that outfit.
Ashley, you're playing second base.
Deal.
Dr. P. Jesus will be here a little bit later on this morning. And, of course, Randy Shaver and Brad Ruiter at 7:30. We can talk about that big stinking ball game tonight. We'll take a break. Be right back on the program.
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Dana here for Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. We all know January is one of the coldest months of the year, and not that cheery, fun kind of Christmas cold. Nah, just the dark, dank January cold. Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is well aware of this, and that's why they're offering $40 off a furnace tune-up to keep you warm during the Minnesota cold. The last thing you want is to be huddled around an iffy space heater you bought from some shady targeted ad. Oh, and how about this? Standard Heating and Air Conditioning has now been helping Minnesotans for over 95 years. So book your appointment now at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Welcome to the jungle, clones. It's the Jim Rome Show podcast.
The greatest and loyal fan base ever. You, the clones. It all starts with the jungle. We're in it to win it, and I'm in it to go as hard as I possibly can every day to make sure that you clones get the best possible product every single day. Day one, all in, let's freaking go.
The Jim Rome Show. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Yeah, you know, when we first fired things up here, we got the jaw-jacking about personal tragedies we've endured in the kitchen. Cooking accidents, you might say. You cut this off, you burned that loose. Got a great text message here from Medical Chicken Lady Jesus. She says, I once entered myself into a wet T-shirt contest with boiling water off the stove.
Oh, No.
Oh,
That sucks.
I can't imagine how much that must have hurt.
Oh, the nipples. The poor nipples.
The nipples.
They're sensitive. She said she was trying to slap her sister. And the sudden arm movement, she swept that boiling water off the stove and entered herself into a one-woman wet T-shirt contest.
Do you think slapping the sister would be a cool masturbation term for ladies?
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, let's start mixing that in more often.
I've got a couple of crass female friends I could see saying that. Got to go home and slap the sister. I was watching McDreamy last night on reruns.
Slap my sister right in their yap. I think that would make for a good one, Cubby. Put that up on. Don't tell me. I'm gonna get there. Put that up on. Don't.
I wasn't telling you. I was just starting you.
Urban Dictionary.
Yeah.
See what kind of reaction you get. Wouldn't that be something if you made $10 million off of something like that? You trademark that. Somehow it ends up on Urban Dictionary, and then there's an episode of Everyone's Horny in Philadelphia or something. What's that show called again?
Always Sunny.
And then it becomes like this viral thing. You got $10 million. How did Josh make $10 million?
NBC News doing a report. 2024 was all about the Hawk Tour girl. 2025 is about slapping your sister.
Let's talk to the innovator of that term, Josh from Eagan, Minnesota. Josh, good morning.
Masturbation expert, Josh. that's a little thing underneath the graphic on the bottom of the screen.
Not so sure how female masturbation works, but somehow calls himself an expert.
All right, brace yourself for our first stupid news story of the day. I'm not kidding. It's one of those that you'll feel from the top of your dome to the tips of your toesies. There's a 22-year-old gal I'd like to tell you about. God and baby Jesus be with this young lady. She's alive, but barely. She made the terrible, terrible mistake of ducking on in to one of those MRI machines. I mean, not like on her own after hours. She signed up. It was all official business. She ducked in to one of those MRI machines for an exam. Unfortunately, she had a damn metallic butt plug in her little bottom, and it about killed her dead.
I can't imagine the pain.
How do you forget about that?
Well, I'll explain.
Josh, did you mean the pain of just putting a butt plug in or having it get sucked out of you?
Both. Both. I that is shocking that it could happen, honestly, because I've had a couple of those, and they're so good about asking you questions you wouldn't even have thought about. Like, for me, they told me to take off my rings, the ones above and below the waist. So they make sure that you've got no metal on you whatsoever.
Yeah, she just didn't know. And I gotta say, a gal who wants to walk around town and perform all of her errands while wearing a butt plug, those are the kind of gals I'm going for. You know what I mean? So I'm extra sorry that this had to happen to this lady, because she sounds like a hell of a lot of fun.
I know we've talked about just butt plugs in regular practice before, and I was surprised that people text in saying, there's a couple ladies, remember, that were like, I'm wearing one at work right now.
One dude who texted in and said he wears it to a construction site every day.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that was just special occasions.
Now, if you're not sure how someone can be killed by such a thing, I'll try and explain it best I can. An MRI scan uses wicked strong magnets to create highly detailed images of the inside of your sexy body. It's important to remove any metal objects from your body before having an MRI. Like Josh was just saying, the MRI giver. There's the term in here somewhere, the radiologist. I'll get to it. The MRI giver certainly tries to make sure there isn't any metal at all in the room, on you or in the room, because it will be sucked towards the magnets at an incredible speed, with incredible force. If there's any metal around, in the room, like I said, on somebody's body, or in this case, inside someone's body, the machine will pull that object towards the magnet with such force that the metal can rip through the human body, rip right through your skin. So in this case, when the machine was switched on, the magnets sucked her butt plug through the inside of her body.
Oh no.
Word is, the plug, which of course started in her Kansky, burrowed its way into her damn chest cavity, and fast. Someone in here in the article said that the magnets cause metal items to travel at the, quote, speed of sound.
Whoa.
So it's just, it tore through this woman's insides. How she didn't die right then and there, I have no idea.
I think I'd want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's like getting shot.
With the world's most sexually explicit bullet. I guess some of them are called a bullet.
I'm just in disbelief over this right now. Like, I can't even comprehend how painful that would be.
And she must wear that so often. I mean, to be able to forget something like that, it just must be so common for her to walk around with that.
Now, this happened around a year ago, but it's being rapped about now because it's officially going into the medical record books. It's going into the Hall of Shame. So, you were asking Ashley about, how she didn't know or this or that. Word is the gal believed that her little butt toy was made of silicone, when actually, just like Josh, it had metal in its core.
Yeah.
I think I would still remove that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh. You've had them, but don't MRIs show you everything?
As far as I know.
What if the doctors be like, even if it was silicone, realize, oh, she's got a butt plug in?
Yeah, actually, I know you meant MRIs, but it was funny the way you phrased that. Josh, I know you've had them. Like you said, like you're talking about butt plugs. Like you're going to him for butt plug guidance.
Oh, I answered the question. I assumed you were talking about that too when I was agreeable.
The gal survived with, quote, major injuries. I don't know why she left it in. Maybe she forgot. Maybe she had a crush on the MRI giver dude, and when he pulled out her thought was when he looked at the X-rays and saw the butt plug, she'd give him a little wink, like, I did wear the sumbitch while.
It's very possible that in today's social media society, maybe she was trying to come up with a funny MRI picture.
Right. Prior to MRI scans, here's the official term for the guy in the room there,
radiologist.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not that. That's not what they have here.
Oh, that's what it says.
Radiographers is what I have in front of me. It doesn't matter. They will usually check if patients have any metal in their pockets and this and that. In this case, the gal didn't say anything about what she had keistered inside of her. The radiographer, he said he heard a terrible scream. Now, I kept reading after the end of this terrible story. I kept reading the comments from folks. Now, here's one who must have a morbid sense of humor. They said, "This story just made my day. I can't or won't explain why." A second comment said, "Made your day? It made my whole week."
I love the internet sometimes.
And finally, another commenter said, "I nearly got killed getting an MRI when I was having a neck injury evaluated. The radiographer was a cigarette smoker. I know this because he walked out of the room, came back in a handful of seconds later because he forgot his Zippo lighter. The lighter, when the magnets were switched on, went screaming towards this poor guy, this patient who's writing the comment here, and the Zippo lighter hit him square in the forehead, causing him to get several stitches and a perfectly centered scar right in the middle of his forehead."
Oh, No.
300-mile-per-hour cigarette lighter hits you in the friggin' skull because the MRI guy forgot his friggin' Zippo in the MRI room.
Physics teacher Jesus said the speed of sound, he mentions 300 m/s. The thing that thing would finish going through her as fast as I would, he said. Just being a machinist and a welder, says Magic playing machinist Jesus. They need to x-ray my eyes to make sure there's no metal shavings that would go through my eyelids. I wonder why everyone doesn't go through some sort of x-ray machine first.
Yeah, right. I mean, who knows your average schmuck might have a little bit of metal stuck in your this or stuck in your that from God knows what. Yeah, that's interesting. That you might, little shards like that, they'll mangle you as well.
In soccer, when you're before the game, the ref comes to check your cleats to make sure you're wearing shin guards. And to check the shin guards, he kind of, lightly taps with his cleat, to your shins to make sure there's something there. Maybe doctors should start doing a butt plug check before each MRI. All right, bend over, touch your toes. All right, no butt plug, we're good to go.
I wanted them to do that for any activity from now on. You must be this tall and have no butt plug to ride any ride here at the theme park.
What a friggin' nightmare. What a gory disaster that must have been. I wonder, doctors, you imagine they've seen it all. At least I like to believe if I'm ever in real trouble, the doctor that's handling my situation has seen it all. Just like you always want your airplane pilot to have dealt with every damn thing. But even the most experienced doctor, when you crack open a lady who had a butt plug go 300 miles an hour from her back door all the way up to her chest cavity, even with all the experience in the world, I bet that doctor looks inside and says, my God, what do I do? No one's, I don't care. There's no level of education that prepares you for that. Yeah, where do you start? Where do you start cleaning that up? Good Lord, what up? All right. Politics here in the United States. That's become a sad-ass clown show over the last number of years. So it's kind of nice to hear that other countries are also dealing with childlike behavior from their politicians. Now, this is also a story from a while back, but it's being talked about now. It says here, Taiwanese lawmakers saw something they likely never thought they would. A member of Taiwan's parliament simply grabbed a bill and ran off with it in its hand. This individual grabbed a bill and ran off with it in his hand, like a 7-year-old, to prevent the bill from being passed. Can you picture what I'm saying to you?
There's nothing they can do now. Certainly can't reprint that in a couple of seconds.
The still picture of the guy trying to make his way out of the building with the bill in his hand is a damn riot. It looks like a child. Like I said, like if you're you and your family are in the kitchen and your little nephew, he's 4, and you tell him he can't have a cookie. And he grabs one and just tries to run through everyone like a running back in a football game. That's what this guy looks like.
He even runs like a little kid.
He does. Trying to hop over rows of chairs. It's just effing madness. A grown damn man did this. Try passing this bill now, suckers. So long.
Didn't see that one coming, did you?
But I guess they're used to that kind of grade school nonsense over there. What is this? The story here says it's not the first time they've cut loose like this in Taiwanese parliament. They spend many days shoving and tackling and punching each other over this and that. One dude running off like he wanted to go home and see his mommy is just one chapter in the story. I guess they got a new president down there or something. I don't know. Everybody's pissed. So again, this is one hell of a scene there in Taiwan. Lawmakers screaming, shoving each other, jumping up onto tables, pinning each other to the floor, and Dinkus runs out of there with the bill in his hand. I do love politics. I do.
That video's up on 93x.com.
It's pretty hilarious.
It is very funny.
It's the old well, I'm just going to take my ball and go home type of thing.
Yep, very fun. Oh, man. Every day there are less and less things that we can legally do while drunk.
It's a damn shame.
Just in case any of the brother or sisterhood plans on spending any time in South Korea, starting in a few months, it's going to be illegal to surf or kayak while drunk in South F me running Korea.
I guess that's probably a good idea.
Going to be illegal to surf or kayak while drunk. And if you do get caught on either a surfboard or a kayak, they'll go ahead and fine your ass. Sideways. A lot of money.
I've been tempted to do some weird stuff when I'm drunk, but I've never been like, you know what? I'm kind of bombed right now. Let's go kayaking.
Well,
It's actually really fun.
being drunk kayaking?
Yeah, I used to go kayaking quite a bit. Used to fish out of my kayak, and I always had a couple beers with me.
Kayaking is a hell of a lot of fun, and like I told you before, had I had the presence of mind or even a small lick of maturity when I was 18 years old, I would have gone out for the United States kayaking team, because we took kayaking in high school as part of outdoor education, and I was the greatest that anyone had ever seen up to that point. I could do anything you wanted me to do in a kayak. What do you want me to do, Josh? Do you want me to get going real fast and then go in and out of the water 6 times, like down under? You know,
like
that
do a barrel roll?
I could barrel roll my way across a lake.
That is so cool.
I was the best in the business.
I've never been in a kayak. I had plenty of canoes. I enjoy the canoe.
I could barrel roll from here down in New Orleans on the Mississippi, if you asked me to, when I was 18 years old. But I never thought that was a real thing. I would have tried out for the United States Kayak Club and been the captain. Okay.
Dana, you said that you'd never had that thought while drunk. What about if somebody just said, let's go kayaking? You'd probably say, all right, well, let me pick up a cooler or something.
Yeah. Oh, if you insist, I'm going to have to get hammered before we do this.
Starting in June, no more drinking and kayaking or drinking and surfing down there in South Korea. Currently, they were only cracking down on the folks who get drunk and go for a rip on one of those jet skis or wave runners, but not anymore.
There had to have been something that led to this, some type of incident that they decided, all right, no more drunk kayaking for you people.
Certainly.
You can't handle it.
Well, yeah, that's how it plays out 9 times out of 10. It says here, the South Korean Coast Guard pushed for this because they were seeing too many drunk accidents out on the water. They're tired of fishing busted up drunk surfers out of the drink. And it looks like 0.03 is the blood alcohol content line that you can't cross in South Korea while on a kayak or a surfboard. 0.03. Hell, if a drunk gave you oral, I bet you could spit a 0.03.
I was going to say that's like 1 beer.
Yeah, isn't there like 0.03 alcohol content in chewing gum? I mean, that doesn't seem like much at all.
So they're they're cracking down in a big, big way, and there ain't a damn thing you can do about it.
You know, it'd be interesting if they had a controlled oral experiment. We have to see how much oral it takes to get you where you're too drunk to jet ski. I've had 4 orals.
You're saying a really drunk individual performs oral upon me.
Yeah.
And then I am tested.
They
test me every 20 minutes to see if my BAC has gone up or anything.
And like those experiments, they say, all right, do you feel like you're safe enough to jet ski? Yeah, I've only had a couple of orals, like 2.
Just a couple orals with dinner.
Man. All right, who here could use a little extra walking around money?
I think we all could.
Mm-hmm.
Not me. I'm pretty loaded. I have too much.
Cubby's doing well. He is. Now, Smashley over here, she used to bark out the snitches get stitches slogan quite often on this here radio show. And that sounds all tough and cool and everything. And it rhymes.
That's the best part.
But I'm wondering if Ashley and other folks who live the snitches get stitches lifestyle, I'm wondering if money if money was on the line, if you'd still follow that motto. Let me tell you what they got cooking over in Vietnam. The cops over there will pay folks who snitch on what they call here traffic offenders. If someone breaks the rules out on the road ski and you call the cops and tell them about it and they make a bust in trade, they'll hand you up to 5 million dong.
Whoa, baby.
Which around here is worth about $200.
It sounded a lot better before you said it was only $200.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I like the word dong better personally. I wish we had that currency here.
You're not going to take $200 for making a phone call?
That sounds pretty good to me.
But when it was compared, when I first thought it was millions.
I understand the joke.
Yeah.
I do. 200 big ones.
I think it would depend on what the traffic offense was. If it was something that put other people's lives in danger, I wouldn't mind snitching.
$200.
Josh, you're right, though, about how dong is so much cooler. Like, hey, man, I'm kind of down on my luck. Can I borrow some dong?
200 donuts. Sorry, when I get stuck in that scene from The Jerk, I can't shake it.
Ashley, so you're telling me, you're sitting there telling me wearing a FedEx hoodie that
Thanks, Mom.
if I were to offer you $200 to say if somebody's rolling through stop signs each time, you wouldn't take me up on that?
No.
Come on.
It's $200 a time.
Yeah.
Oh.
You've got dogs, Ashley.
I do,
What
and
if
they're
they got
so
hit?
expensive.
You got
No.
friggin' bills to pay.
Oh, gosh, Josh. Okay, good point. What if they got hit?
You
Yeah.
want to leave something to them when you go, don't you?
Oh, my gosh, when you put it that way, don't bring them into this. That makes it so much more serious.
You're out on the road in Vietnam. You see somebody break the rules. You call the cops. They hand you $200. Word is the highways in Vietnam are, quote, chaotic. The cops are trying to put a lid on all the jag-off drivers. So why not get other citizens to turn them on in? The identities of informants will be kept confidential.
Oh, so nobody has to know that I'm a
Nobody
snitch.
has to know.
Although you're the one buying rounds at the bar left and right, all of a sudden you get this new windfall.
Yeah, kind of, don't go buying anything fancy. It's like the mob movies, when you get that big score, go buying anything fancy, then everyone will be sniffing around and they'll find out.
Your friendly neighborhood garbage man has checked in with his motto, I'll tell. That's his motto.
Yeah.
$200 a time?
Yeah.
Hey, don't break the law.
According to the story now, no one has snitched on anyone yet. So far, nobody's been given any dong.
When's the last time you've turned down a dong, Ashley? Come on, be honest.
Especially 200 of them all at once.
So it sounds like the Vietnamese citizens aren't really warmed up to this idea of narking each other out just yet. But it's on the table. The offer's on the table. Lawmakers over there also increased the fines for damn near all driving offenses. They're really turning the screws. If you F around, you end up paying out your ass. One cop said he's seen several drivers break down in tears when handed a fine. That's how they've dialed up the cost of these fines to the point where people are devastated when they get busted. I guess they feel like they have to crack down. They've got around 77 million motorbikes and 6.3 million cars on the roads in Vietnam. Can someone look up how many cars and how many motorbikes we have on the roads in America? They have 77 million in, what did I call the place, Vietnam? I don't know what the comparison would be here to the States.
Speaking of snitches, Ashley, I think you'll really appreciate this since that's your motto, snitches get stitches. There's a story being passed around about a dog who had to retire to a farm because he couldn't hack it as a drug-sniffing dog. And somebody commented, that good boy ain't no snitch.
Cute.
Anyone find the total number?
Yeah.
What do we have?
It said as of 2022 or 2022, it was 278.9 million.
What?
Personal and commercial vehicles.
Well, so, yeah, he wants the difference. So what I found here says in 2023, There were basically 276 million registered vehicles, 105 million automobiles, and then 9.6 million motorcycles. So it's quite a bit more cars.
Yeah, Vietnam's not a big place, though. Isn't it a tiny little spot?
Oh, I guess I'm not sure. That definitely matters.
Jeez Louise. In 2024, accidents claimed 30 lives a day in Vietnam. Traffic, they say, is slower than the second coming of Christ. Drivers have little regard for traffic lights or road signs.
Oh, that stresses me out.
Little regard for traffic lights and road signs. Yeah, I know what it says. Don't care. I'm going straight through it. It sounds like a big demo derby over there.
Ashley, I mentioned you wearing a new badass FedEx hoodie.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's not happy about that? UPS Golden Valley Delivery Jesus. He said he can fix that. He just needs to know your size. He can fix that.
I don't know how my mom would feel about that. Walk into the house with a UPS sweatshirt. She'd have a serious problem.
Well, in case you want to stir things up at home.
That could be fun.
I didn't know there was a turf war between the delivery groups.
Oh yeah, Dana. It is
Ashley's
serious.
on the front lines.
Somebody's going to get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
FedEx and who are battling it out?
UPS.
I know what side I'm on. By God,
Is there any? Where does
Amazon.
DHS? Where's DHS in that whole thing? Are they on the sidelines waiting to jump in on the loser, or what happens there?
Yeah. They're waiting for their chance to get a cheap shot in.
What was that company out of St. Cloud that I saw on the sides of vehicles for years? Was it Speedy Delivery?
I've seen Speedy. I didn't know they were out of St. Cloud.
Yeah, that's my best memory. I don't see those anymore. Did they go out of business? It seemed like one of those companies where you can just use your regular car. I think a friend of mine for a stretch of time worked for Speedy Delivery out of St. Cloud. He just used his own personal vehicle. He put the sticker on the door, and he's officially a delivery man.
All you gotta
That's
do.
cool.
I'm sure they're still around. They got a website at least.
Oh, okay.
Looks like
Yeah,
they're still
I just
going.
don't see him as often as I used to. Maybe I'm less attentive.
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
During his 21-year NHL career, congratulations, Mark Andre, on all your on and off-ice success. Good luck in your future endeavors, and thank you for being part of our history.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Las Vegas Golden Knights organization and their fan base, they sure do love that Marc Andre Fleury. You know, he played a little hockey there for a few years. I think he won a title with them. Yeah, he was their starting goalie when they won a title, or maybe he was on the roster. I know that much. They went crazy for him last night when the Pigs played in Vegas. It's a good thing they don't know how much he hates their guts.
I don't picture that guy capable of hating anything. He just
Airplane
seems
is
so
the
happy.
movie. Airplane. Yeah, they had a nice little thing. And then the Wolves went out, not the Wolves, the Wild went out and lost. Do they ever beat Vegas?
Never.
They never beat Vegas.
Never.
The Timberwolves are on television tonight starting at 6 o'clock. They're at the Washington Wizards. Golden Gopher basketball plays at the University of Maryland tonight. But the big story, of course, people are on edge over that ball game tonight. Vikings and Rams starting 7 o'clock on Channel 5. As part of the wild card playoff round in the National Football League. I sense that people are on edge a little bit. I don't know if you guys are getting the same.
There's some nerves around.
Are
yeah.
you nervous, Josh?
Oh, no, I'm not nervous.
You don't get nervous?
I get nervous, but I'm not nervous right now.
Not yet.
Every time you mention it, I kind of get like that, like a
FOMO?
hot flash almost.
Oh, a hot flash.
Yeah, like that feeling where your body just heats up a little bit.
Well, don't hurt yourself.
I know. I'm
Why
trying
you
not
so
to.
worried?
This
I
doesn't
don't-
mean
I don't
anything.
know.
This doesn't mean anything.
I can't control it.
It's not real life. Here, look at it
It's
this
all
way.
scripted. That's
Look
true.
At it. Well, I mean, there are some. There is some damning evidence out there that the NFL is 100% scripted. But look at it this way, Ashley. This will maybe make you feel better. But so you stop getting these hot flashes. The Minnesota Vikings could not possibly care how your life turns out. They could not possibly care less about you.
That does make me feel better.
They don't care.
A little sad, but also better.
Specifically you, as a matter of
Yes,
fact.
you could be on fire in the middle of a busy street, and Sam Darnold would step over you to go on a date with the Hawk-Tua girl.
No.
He would not care.
No. For her.
No one on the Vikings roster cares about you. Josh's news is coming up next.
There's a douchiness to them.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Dana here for Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. We all know January is one of the coldest months of the year, and not that cheery, fun kind of Christmas cold. Nah, just the dark, dank January cold. Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is well aware of this, and that's why they're offering $40 off a furnace tune-up to keep you warm during the Minnesota cold. The last thing you want is to be huddled around an iffy space heater you bought from some shady targeted ad. Oh, and how about this? Standard Heating and Air Conditioning has now been helping Minnesotans for over 95 years. So book your appointment now at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Hey, my name is Mandy Woodruff Santos, career expert and host of Brown Ambition. Brown Ambition is conversations about wealth building.
Just know that debt is one of those things you can overcome.
Tell us how much debt you actually have, girl. Entrepreneurship. You get a book advance. How have you been doing it while running your business at the same time? What am I doing wrong? And being surrounded by sister friends.
We could talk about this all day.
No, I think my stress levels are high enough. Thank you. Brown Ambition. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Half-Assed Morning Show. 93X.
Slubberdigullion.
Slubberdigullion?
Slubberdigullion.
I know the definition of that. A dirty, wretched slob, just like you, sir.
Was I supposed to hear that?
Yes, you were, because that's what you are.
Take it easy.
Telling me
Yeah,
to
we're
take
trying
it
to have
easy
a spelling bee.
No. He called my baby boy a sucker, and I will not repeat what he said to me about my vagina.
Spelling bees usually take place on a stage with proud parents cheering on their talented children, not on the side of the road with a suspect under arrest. But a 41-year-old South Carolina man detained for a suspected DUI turned his encounter with the law into an impromptu spelling bee right after calling the police officer an idiot. The drunken spelling bee spectacle occurred Saturday night, January 4th, in a Walgreens parking lot in Mount Pleasant, where officers found a man standing next to a red Jeep Grand Cherokee with a mangled tire who pulled into the lot after colliding with two other vehicles. When officers approached, he appeared unsteady, slurred his words, and smelled strongly of alcohol. After running field sobriety tests, he was placed under arrest, but not before delivering a string of insults, threats, and challenges, including a roadside spelling bee. The wasted wordsmith even demonstrated his skills by spelling the word Britain. But the only letters cops were focused on were D, U, and I, and now Richard D'Amato has got one. Adding to his troubles, he also kicked an officer in the arm during his arrest and faces charges, including first-degree DUI, hit and run resulting in property damage, and assaulting or resisting a police officer.
He's just smarter than everybody else, isn't he?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Bet you dummies can't spell Britain like I can.
Of all the words available, he went with Britain.
Man, I bet that was a first for those cops.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've been challenged, like, with that badge and gun, you wouldn't be so tough without that.
Take that gun off your waist and fight me like a man.
Yeah, never a spelling bee.
That's cute.
A 58-year-old award-winning principal was arrested for impersonating a deputy during a traffic stop on the Florida Turnpike, where he also claimed to be cousins with basketball star Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
That's my homie.
Last Tuesday around 4:30 p.m., a Florida State trooper spotted a Kia Stinger with dark-tinted windows and a suspicious license plate reading Ayoord, A-Y-O-O-R-D. The unusual plate caught the trooper's attention, leading to a routine traffic stop. When the trooper approached the car, the driver, identified as 2016 Broward County Principal of the Year Carlton Johnson, flashed a wallet containing a gold star and confidently declared, "I'm an officer. I'm one of you." He expressed frustration for being questioned, even adding, "I thought we'd treat each other better," as he attempted to pass himself off as a fellow officer of the law. Initially, the trooper believed Johnson's story, as Johnson displayed a badge resembling one from the Broward County Sheriff's Office. But the trooper contacted the sheriff, only to learn Johnson had no connection to the agency, and upon closer inspection, the badge was labeled honorary and carried no official authority.
What a schmuck.
Under questioning, Johnson admitted he wasn't a deputy, then, desperate for a way out of the situation, told the officer he was related to Shaquille O'Neal. Authorities believe the license plate, Ayoord, A-Y-O-O-R-D, was an attempt to project a sense of law enforcement credibility, playing off phrases like, all you oughta respect the badge. But it backfired because that's what got the troopers' attention. As for the claim about being Shaq's cousin, Johnson stayed silent after posting bond, leaving his attorney to explain.
Sometimes when people know people, they say, well, look, I'm a friend of this person, I'm a friend of that person. You know, hopefully they'll get a break. That's not illegal.
The Broward County.
Yeah, it's douchey, though. Very douchey.
Very douchey, right. The school district confirmed Johnson has been reassigned while the investigation continues.
So he was or not, he is or is not legitimately related to the big Aristotle?
He is not. There is no relation whatsoever.
And what was the significance of the plate, Ayoord?
Well, he was trying to project that, hey, like if a cop saw it, they're not going to pull me over because it means all you oughta respect the badge.
Oh, I've never heard of that one before.
I had to look it up.
Okay.
I didn't either. The story didn't say, so I had to look up what that meant. I wasn't sure why that would raise attention.
You shouldn't have to look that kind of thing up, Josh. You shouldn't have to perform those tasks, seeing how you are cousins with Muhammad Ali. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah. First cousins, believe it or not.
Whoa.
Can see the family resemblance.
It's not exactly breaking news when college students get hammered on campus, but when it's with a literal hammer, that tends to get media attention. On Friday, 8 people were injured in a shocking hammer attack at a Tokyo university. The incident occurred during class, with witnesses saying the 22-year-old sociology student swung a hammer, leaving several people bleeding from head injuries.
Good Lord.
Reports suggest the woman admitted to harboring deep frustration because she felt she was ignored, which may have driven her to the violent outburst.
Oh, boy.
Although violent crime there is rare, Japan has seen a few unsettling attacks in recent years. There's a pretty disturbing hammer scene in the season finale of Landman on Paramount+.
I look forward to watching that today.
Great show.
She felt she was being ignored.
Yeah, so that got her the attention I guess she wanted.
Speaking of mixing wine or mixing booze with hammers, I once tried to open a bottle of wine with a hammer.
Great idea.
Didn't work very well.
That seems like a really bad idea.
It was a really bad idea. I was very lucky that I wasn't on the ER.
A 33-year-old woman's in police custody after driving through a high school band practice. According to the New Orleans Police Department, the incident happened about 5:17 p.m. Wednesday after officers responded to a call about a reckless driver barreling through the St. Augustine marching band while they practiced.
She was going fast. She was going fast enough for dust to kick up. Came back through. She stopped in the middle of the intersection to give out threats, I guess, and then she made another pass through the band.
Investigators say the driver deliberately drove through the group, ignoring pleas to stop and even threatening 3 adult band leaders who confronted her. Her motive is still under investigation.
She didn't kill anybody?
No, thankfully. Deputies say a 34-year-old Florida man was arrested after carving initials into a car and pulling a knife on the owner in a New Year's Eve attempted carjacking while nude. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office responded to a call about a man damaging a car and attempting to steal it outside a home in West Palm Beach New Year's Eve. About 5:30 p.m., witnesses saw him use a large knife to carve his initials, some symbols and pictures into the car's exterior.
Uh-oh.
The owner told deputies the suspect turned the knife on him and demanded the keys when he came outside.
All the while, D swinging.
Yeah. Nude as the day he was born.
Mm-hmm.
When the victim backed away, the suspect reportedly moved toward him, prompting the victim to run inside and lock the door. Probably a good mix of the nudity and the knife. After the victim returned, the man continued damaging the car and puncturing its tires. When deputies arrived, he was completely naked in the driveway and reportedly told them that he'd been abducted by aliens.
Son of a bitch, I knew it.
That's a bad day. The car owner and witnesses say they know the man, but had never seen him act like that.
Yeah, he decided to try. He decided to try some of that crocodile or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he was doing something.
I'd like to see the little pictures that he was able to carve with his knife and then have him translate as to what they mean. I bet that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, some ancient runes of some sort. Or maybe something from an alien civilization that he learned. Police in Australia are on the hunt for a suspect who left a fiery crime scene, both singed and pantless, after a bungled arson attempt in the early hours of Christmas Day.
This guy's also not wearing any clothes?
Well, he wasn't after he set himself on fire by accident.
Oh.
Dubbed Australia's sloppiest arsonist, cops are calling him. The man was caught on video alongside an accomplice, dousing the front of a fast food restaurant with flammable liquid. Things quickly went south, though, when in a literal flash, the fire turned on him and he flame-broiled himself. According to a police post on Facebook, after setting the liquid ablaze, one of the offenders also managed to set their pants on fire, forcing them to strip the burning garments as they fled.
He subsequently ran down the street whilst on fire, stripping off his clothes as he ran.
Yeah, he ran whilst on fire. Surveillance footage captured the chaos, one suspect sprinting away, flames licking at his legs, with his smoldering pants dragging behind. Both men, along with a getaway driver, are still on the run. Not exactly a Top Gun moment for a fighter jet soaring over the Sunshine State last week. A 300-gallon fuel tank fell from a fighter jet and landed in a Florida neighborhood, narrowly missing an elementary school.
Oh, my God.
Ultimately landing in someone's yard. The supersonic F-16 Fighting Falcon was zipping through the skies about 11 a.m. Tuesday when the tank decided it had enough of the ride and came crashing down in Niceville near Elgin Air Force Base.
Nice.
According to Air Force and city officials, the tank missed cars, people, and houses, thankfully, landing between two homes about 1,900 feet from an elementary school. The Niceville city manager said only by the grace of God it landed between two houses.
I got a call yesterday morning from my daughter. She said something blew up at the house, and I jumped in my truck, come back over here, and I was about the first one on the scene. Walked around the yard, and there was smelled fuel and, of course, the debris there, but another 20 foot had been in the house.
Neighbors were jostled by the boom of the tank smashing to the ground, which left behind scrap metal and a powerful gas smell. Nobody was injured in the freak accident, which is under investigation.
That is such a dad right there. He got there before everybody else did because his little girl called.
I like they threw that flex in there, too.
You got a new call sign for that pilot, Josh? You got a new call sign in mind?
I haven't thought of something.
No, I hear you. Yeah, we'll think about that. We'll drink about it.
An English burglar's plan went down the toilet thanks to an unusual clue, a dog poop footprint. 20-year-old Brian Harold is in deep doo-doo himself after being caught stepping into trouble and turds during an attempted burglary. The distinctive footprint as he left behind at the crime scene gave police all they needed to track him down. When they found him, the guy, who was 19 at the time, was still wearing the same shoes that carried the incriminating evidence. According to prosecutors, Harold and an accomplice first swiped a nail gun, cordless drill, and charger from a parked van in August. Then they drove 2 miles to snatch a wooden wishing well from a doorstep, only to abandon it on a nearby street. Their criminal spree ended with a failed attempt to break into a nearby home where they used a garden chair to try and climb inside. Ultimately, it was Harold's unfortunate misstep that sealed his fate, as police matched his fecal footprint to the scene of the crime.
Stepped on a fresh stack, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's what got him.
That's criminal 101. You always change your turd shoes after you pull off a job.
I would never have considered such a thing.
Yeah, you don't think about that. But I know a guy who had his footprints come into play when he was acting shady once.
Stepping into mud or?
Just wet. I can't remember if it was just, wet grass or mud, but yeah, he never thought it would be his tennis shoe print that would ultimately get him cuffed and stuffed. But
can you imagine the vindication if your spouse is always on you about not picking up the dog poop in a timely fashion? You'd have something to say there.
Mm-hmm.
A 31-year-old man accidentally called 911 from his Tennessee motel room, leading authorities to find Jesus in the form of a 6-foot crucifix that he stole from a church and tucked into bed. Jacob Vanderberg was taken into custody after deputies found the large wooden cross taken from a Florida church in early December. The disheveled man's holy heist began when he strolled into St. Paul Catholic Church clutching a red cup. Told he couldn't drink inside, he shrugged it off, claiming he was just looking for Jesus. Oh. Things took a turn, though, when staff asked him to leave. Instead, he zeroed in on the altar and made off with the massive crucifix, dragging a determined staffer across the parking lot in the process. Again, this thing's 6 feet.
Heavy sumbitch, yeah.
After his dramatic escape, Vanderberg and the purloined cross hit the ground running and went on a month-long road trip until a butt dial intervened An accidental 911 call that led deputies to his hideout at the Country Inn Motel, where they found the crucifix stashed under a blanket.
What an idiot. He got caught because he butt dialed.
Yep. Authorities said
He's got bigger problems, Ashley, I think.
True,
but, yeah.
true.
Authorities said Vanderberg became extremely protective of it when they tried to take it away. He was charged as a fugitive from justice and faces a robbery charge.
Terrifying. That man is terrifying.
He needs some rest.
He gets protective. I would love to see a video of that.
Like a dog in his toy.
Yeah.
A 39-year-old Florida mom's been accused of getting her teenage son to help rob a man she was humping. Linda Placico was arrested Tuesday after allegedly orchestrating a break-in at her lover's apartment to steal a jar holding $1,300 in cash and a $200 carton of cigarettes.
What?
$200. Wow. What is that?
Is that how much they go for these days?
The original carton of cigarettes?
Yeah.
Or why is it worth $200?
I was hoping you guys would know. I've never heard
smoke.
Yeah, it's like usually a carton's probably 110.
Yeah, this must have been a fancy set.
Mm-hmm.
Collector's edition. According to authorities, she didn't act alone. Her son, reportedly between 13 and 15, was caught on a Ring camera helping her break down the door. Footage shows the teen, his face hidden behind a towel, forcing the door open and letting his mom in. The mom, also masked, briefly appeared on the footage as she pointed out the jar of cash to her son before covering the camera. The victim, who had been in a on-again, off-again sexual relationship with the mom for
like
about
that.
a decade,
Yeah.
quickly identified her to police, sealing the case against her.
For a decade, they've been trading gear.
Yeah.
Hot stuff.
Couldn't stay away, I guess. He was Dr. Derek McDreamy Shepherd on Grey's Anatomy, but he's Captain Aaron Spencer from Dexter Original Sin now, Patrick Dempsey, 59. And from Seinfeld and Veep, comedy legend Julia Louis-Dreyfus, 64, and that's 93X News.
Randy Shaver.
We also recovered several gerbils inside his pants.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Last time Washington won a wild card game, won a playoff game, was 2005 here. Chance to do it with Gonzalez. From 37 to send Washington to the Final Eight. The Washington Commanders off the upright, and it is in! They doink their way to the divisional round! Unbelievable!
I have seen it all now. I even get a divisional doink. Oh my gosh.
Step good, hold down, kick on its way.
Good! The Cardiac Commanders are the Clutch Commanders! They do it again! We'll see you in Detroit!
It's Monday. And the boys are checking in right on time, by damn. Randy Shaver. Good morning, Randy.
Good morning.
Brad Ruiter.
Good morning.
Hey, dudes. Yeah, they wet their pants last night. The Washington Commodores radio broadcasters really gave way when they won that ball game last night. First win for the Commodores franchise in a decade or so. Wild card weekend, they called it. What'd you make of it?
Pretty much as scripted, except for maybe the Washington game, right?
Scripted?
They went off script in the Washington game?
Probably. That game was a toss-up. It had the highest over-under number of the weekend at 50 points. Didn't quite get there. But the other games kind of fell true to form based on home field and better record and that kind of thing. So
the Commodores beating Tampa Bay with a last-second field goal was by far the best game of the weekend. A hell of a fun game to watch. I'll admit I didn't exactly sit too intently in front of the other ball games. I tried with the Packers in Philadelphia, and it bored the living hell out of me.
I gave all the games a chance, but there really wasn't much drama in much of the rest of them, so it was hard to stay with them the whole way.
I think Green Bay might have given Philly a better fight had they stayed healthy. They they had so many injuries during the game itself that they basically ran out of receivers, and they had like their third or fourth left guard. I mean, it was crazy. It seemed like almost every play there was either a penalty or an injury.
Yeah, it was terribly boring.
Yeah, I feel like Philly is a little bit vulnerable right now. I mean, Green Bay obviously had the injury issues and didn't play very well, and they still were kind of in the game in the fourth quarter. And I don't think, again, this is just me speculating. I don't think Jalen Hurts is 100% either yet. I mean, he went, through concussion protocol the last few weeks. He just didn't. I don't know. There's something about the way he played yesterday. I didn't feel like he was all the way back. So, I have a feeling if the Vikings can win tonight, they're a little bit more vulnerable than people think.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the Eagles and Packers, and the Eagles didn't show me Dick Tracy. So here's a rundown of what was going on over the weekend. Baltimore crushed Pittsburgh. Houston gassed the Chargers. Yesterday, the Buffalo Bills murdered Denver. Like we said, the Eagles sort of just kind of survived.
Muddled their way.
Survived Green Bay. And then there was that game last night. I love the Commodores, but I've been loving them all year long. They're a blast to watch. I love that Jaden Daniels. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool to see him get their first win. And what was the word 19 years? How long has it been since they won?
I think 2006. 2006 is the last time they won a playoff game.
That's 19, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll be damned.
The great thing about him when you watch him play, and I've seen him throughout the season, but really last night, he just does not get rattled.
No.
I mean, he is so cool and calm. I mean, even when they would take these tight shots of his face as he is before the play is snapped, before the ball is snapped, and he's just, not even close to being rattled.
No. He's as cool as ice, as cold as ice.
Yeah.
Compare Jaden Daniels' face last night to Darnold's face in the game against Detroit a week ago.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
He looked horrified to be involved in that game. Before we talk about the Vikes, more details from Wild Card Weekend. Now, the Baltimore Ravens rushed for 299 yards in their game against terrible Pittsburgh. That's the most rushing yards in a playoff game in 12 years, kind of going against the grain as far as how clubs usually go about winning football games these days, and that's by throwing 7 touchdowns and ignoring the running game. Derrick Henry ran for 186 yards, for Christ's sake, and Lamar Jackson went for 81. I'm not much of a television commercial guy, but I do dig that Derrick Henry commercial where he's tossing around everything and the insurance guy is hollering at him. Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's a funny commercial.
That's good.
Auto! Home! I like that one. He's funny. What else happened? The Los Angeles Chargers, like we said, they lost to Houston. Their quarterback, Justin Herbert.
today.
They say he had arguably the worst game of his career, and it came at the wrong time. He threw a touchdown, but he threw a career-high 4 interceptions. 3 of them were in the second half, and it completely changed the complexion of the ball game.
I guess if there was a surprise to me this weekend, it was that. I thought that would be a closer game, and I thought the Chargers might actually win that game. But yeah.
I like that Herbert kid. I hope good things for him. That'll change when they signed Jim Harbaugh up to be his head coach. But I hope good things for him. But he just had a terrible time out there playing whatever team he was playing. So, as Jimmy Serrano said in the 1988 movie Midnight Run, tonight is the effing night. The Vikings and Rams battle to the death for the right to play the Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round. 7 o'clock on Channel 5 or ESPN if you prefer it that way. So how do they F this up? Randy Shaver, Brad Ruiter, how do they F this up?
Well, I think the one thing that could hurt them tonight is 2 things. One, they can't run the ball. So
you don't want them to run the ball.
Well, that will hurt them.
Oh, if they cannot run the ball.
They need to establish some sort of running game.
Establish the running game.
Yeah, because otherwise the Rams are just going to tee off on Darnold all night.
No.
Well, do they have that kind of pass rush to where they
can, sure.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't think the Lions had that kind of pass rush, but what they did was blitz almost every
Yeah,
down.
they were in Sam's jock all night there a week ago.
And I think if the Rams watched that game, which I'm sure they did, they'll probably pick up a few things from that game that they will try against the Vikings tonight. I think the other thing is just don't turn the ball over. You can't give the Rams extra possessions. You certainly can't give them opportunities inside your field. So, I mean, they're going to have to play a pretty clean game tonight, I think, because even though this game is being played in Phoenix, and I think it does help the Vikings that it's not in Los Angeles, the Rams are still really good, and it's going to be a tough game, physical game.
Yeah, that Puka Nacua, if he gets going a little bit and they find him, I mean, he could absolutely take over that game because we've seen the Vikings have some issues guarding bigger, stronger receivers this year, and if they leave the middle of the field open like they did against Detroit in the second half, they're going to have some problems.
Matthew Stafford's a veteran quarterback who how should I say this? Also a guy you're probably not going to rattle too badly. And he knows
won
how
a
to...
Super Bowl. I mean, you're not going to rattle him.
When the hell did he win a Super Bowl?
A couple of years ago.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Did you get a chance to see any of the cool stuff that I think it was Delta Airlines is doing?
No.
For the game? So somebody posted like, oh, it's not hard to find your gate at the airport because they had like a bunch of purple balloons, like Vikings just everywhere. And then on all of the airplane seats when they got in, there was a Vikings themed sweat towel on everybody's seat.
Sounds kind of obnoxious, to be honest with you.
I mean, I imagine if you're going to Arizona and you're not going for the game.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm just
kind of an overkill.
Going to see my grandma.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going for something awful, like a funeral. Oh, fun.
Now, the Rams, who's that? What's that little bearded hipster wide receiver? Is he still involved?
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Yep.
How come you're not talking about Cooper's Kupp?
Well, he's kind of become their number 2 receiver now behind Nacua, but he could hurt him too, for sure.
Does he still look like he owns a brewery?
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah. That's too bad. 7 o'clock tonight. Don't be nervous. Ashley's all nervous. Josh noticed that some people are on edge this morning. Don't be nervous. They're gonna win this game tonight quite handily.
Ashley said she's having hot flashes. She's so nervous about it.
Yeah, I'm very nervous, but
they're going to win this
goes.
game tonight quite handily on their way to their very first Super Bowl victory. I even saw a news report last night. My God, this news report last night was interesting to me because it was, let's check in with Viking fans after that devastating loss to Detroit. Jesus Christ, get over it.
Yeah.
The playoffs haven't even begun, and this news report, again, I bitched about this the morning after their loss to Detroit. The news report I saw last night, it was all people just talking about how the Vikes just keep screwing us every year. They lost that big game in Detroit. Please give them an opportunity here before we sing our little cliche, oh, we're the victims again Vikings song, you know?
It didn't even mean much.
I mean, obviously.
Oh, it meant a lot.
Yeah, it meant a lot. It meant
a lot.
I know.
But, we're still in the playoffs.
It strikes me. So they went 14-3 on the season, and before the playoffs have even begun, fans are already singing that, well, maybe next year song.
I agree with you about how ridiculous it is, but that was a big game because now they got
everybody knows it, but you don't need Brad. If you explain to us if you explain again how big that game is, I'm coming to your house and I'm going to French kiss you.
Oh God! Okay, well then I'll be quiet then. No.
Oh, Brad, keep it going. I want to see this. We want to see this
Brad.
show.
No.
Everyone needs to relax. The Vikings are going to the Super Bowl.
We already know the schedule for next weekend, too. If they win tonight, they play on Sunday at 2 o'clock.
All right.
Against the Eagles.
It was 51 years ago today that the Miami Dolphins beat the Vikings at Super Bowl VIII. But that doesn't mean Dick Tracy. That was 51 years ago. That was their second Super Bowl loss, if I'm not mistaken. Second or third, I can't remember. But Charlie Pride sang the national anthem on that day, Randy Shaver. Were you watching that game in '74 when Charlie Pride sang the national anthem before the Vikings?
I certainly was.
Kissin' Angel, good morning.
Is Charlie Pride still with us?
No.
Oh, okay.
Passed about 5 years ago.
All right.
I certainly was.
Kissin' and tell her about how much you want to... I can't remember the rest of it. A Vikings insider has said, don't discount that Kelvin O'Conrad trade rumor that you heard.
Oh, please.
I love these.
Oh, God.
What?
If that happens, I'll come to your house and French kiss you.
Oh, wow, we got 2 French kisses on the table here.
That's not
French
going to
kiss
happen.
Not happening.
I like it.
He's not leaving us. He wouldn't
That's
do that
not
to me.
happening.
He wouldn't do that to you.
He knows. I already lost Kepler. I can't do that.
That's not happening.
Not two
Vikings
hotties in 1 year.
insider said.
No.
Are you an insider, Randy Shaver? No.
I
Neither
don't
are
have to
you,
be an
Brad Ruiter.
insider to know that's not happening.
Yeah, what does this guy do the Vikings laundry or something?
Don't you worry about how he gets his information, okay? And why do you assume it's a man, Ashley? It's very sexist of you.
I think that's the opposite.
Randy Shaver, do you want to know who this insider is?
Sure, go ahead.
It's Kelvin O'Conrad's agent.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
there
I
you
said
go.
last week.
I know, it's a joke, you donkeys.
Yeah.
Pioneer Press columnist Charlie Walters.
No. No.
What? I'm not lying to you about that. That's the insider.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
but no.
That's no. Charlie Walters, I love Charlie. He's been around forever.
Never met the
But
guy.
if you track Charlie Walters talking about certain things all year, every month it changes to something else.
If you track what he says all year, I think Max Kepler has a higher batting average.
He got my hopes up so many times as a kid. Every trade deadline for years, he kept saying that the Wolves were going to trade for Gary Payton. I just thought Gary Payton in Minnesota would be so cool. And it never happened.
Well, you
never
guys-
loved again.
You're acting like the guy's just trying to sell newspapers or something.
Yeah, media would never do that.
According to Charlie Walters, there may be some friction happening between Randy Shaver.
He's not entertaining this
Let
at
the man
all.
get through the story.
It's ridiculous.
There may be some friction between O'Conrad, Vikings head coach Kelvin O'Conrad. Some friction between he and the Wilf family. There seems to be some frustration with the lack of negotiations that have gone on. O'Conrad wants some of that secondhand exercise equipment money.
He'll get it in about a month.
Yeah.
And also, O'Conrad may be seeking more power within the organization, more than what the Vikings are willing to offer him.
And what does that mean for Kwesi then? That makes no sense whatsoever. Zero. God.
I love how fired up Randy's getting over this.
Jesus, he just
ridiculous.
I don't know. The guy's an insider.
No, he's
in the
not.
locker room every day.
No, he's not.
He's not in the locker room?
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
I love him too, but he's not in the locker room.
Yeah.
You guys are you're just scared. Now I see there's a...
Scared, we're being realistic. We know the guy.
A Mike Tomlin trade is possible.
I heard about this last night, too. Somebody threw out on the NBC broadcast they should trade, I remember which one it was, they should trade Tomlin for the Beeve, straight up.
I'm sorry. Who's Mike Tomlin?
I'm calling him the Beeve like you do.
Well, yeah, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
So Dallas and Pittsburgh make a deal?
Yeah,
Well,
straight up.
Isn't McCarthy's deal up tomorrow?
I don't know.
I think his deal is up on. I think his contract ends tomorrow with Dallas.
Oh my goodness! All right.
So
I just like to share the rumors with you. I get a lot of heat for it.
Mike Tomlin's not leaving Pittsburgh. There's no way.
All right, here's a guy who has left, and there's nothing you can do about it. The University of Miami Hurricanes football program landed their new defensive coordinator by bringing in Golden Gophers defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman. And he's coming off a season where he helped lead the Golden Gophers to one of the top defenses in the country. PJ's going to have to start making some telephone calls. He needs a defensive coordinator.
That's what happens when you have a successful season and you have a strong staff, is that guys like that will end up taking other jobs or being offered other jobs because of the success you had. So this has happened many times for PJ in his, 8-9 years he's been here, where he's lost coordinators and coaches to other universities because of their success. So nothing new.
I love you, PJ.
I'm guessing the guy got a pretty healthy raise going to Miami.
He did. Well, the Gophers, I'm not sure this is necessarily 100% true, but I think they're near the bottom, if not at the bottom, of the Big Ten when it comes to assistant coaches' salaries in football. Right. So if that's the case, and some would argue, it's kind of a, it's not really an upgrade for you to go from Minnesota to Miami necessarily as a defensive coordinator. It's not like you went there as a head coach. So if it's a level job, if it's the same job, but money's the difference, and that's really the case here. Money is the difference.
I wonder if PJ's gotten all the Duke's mayonnaise out of his eyelashes yet.
I bet that's pretty good for your
smell,
skin.
Right?
I bet the smell was horrendous. What did you say, Ashley?
I bet that's very hydrating for your skin, actually.
I'll take your word for it.
You should try it, Ashley.
Yeah.
You should try it, Ashley.
I have actually had my head smothered in mayo before. It was like a mixture of mayo and some other crap when I got stung by a bee. My aunts put together some weird concoction and put it on my head.
Your aunts?
Yeah, it worked.
Your aunts went out of their way to make a fool out of you, is what happened, right?
It worked.
Let's see what this kid will allow us to dump over their head because of a bee sting.
I could see that. They are drinkers.
You got tartar sauce and whatever. This kid's a sucker. Let's get some pictures while we're at it. By the way, I'm not trying to start trouble. I don't know why you guys you come after me the way that you do. I've just stumbled upon a second Vikings insider who believes that this will be Kelvin O'Conrad's final season as head coach of the Vikings. The insider's first name is Gabe. And
wasn't he recently associated with the Wild?
He was.
Yeah.
That's as far as we can take that joke. If you were listening last week, you're following it. Let's cut over to hockey. The Pigs couldn't get much cooking in Las Vegas last night. They never beat the Golden Barrels or whatever the hell that club is called. The Golden Knights. 4-1. They're still missing a lot of top guys because of injuries. The Vegas club scored 3 in the third period. The Golden Knights have now joined Washington and Winnipeg atop the NHL standings with 61 points. Now, unless these teams meet in the playoff, this was Marc-Andre Fleury's final game in Las Vegas. He played for the Golden Knights from their inaugural season through this season or that. He played there 3-4 years. And they say he's still arguably the most popular player in the franchise's short history.
Yeah.
He didn't play. Old Phil was between the pipes, but Fleury got some cheers from the crowd during a little pregame, this and that. They saluted him with a video. I didn't know he was that big of a wheel in friggin' Vegas. But they love his ass. Next up.
Well, didn't he lead them in their first year? Didn't they go all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals?
Yeah, something like that happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I was watching AEW. I don't know.
They didn't win it the first year, but he was there when they went.
Yeah. When they won it all, he was in there somewhere. The Piggies host Ed Mental Wednesday night, and that didn't go so well last time they played Ed Mental here at home. Over the weekend in Denver, Colorado, the Minnesota Frost, the ladies' professional team, were watched by the biggest women's pro hockey crowd in U.S. history.
Sweet. That's really cool.
They had a special event called the PWHL Takeover Tour, where I guess they're going to non-PWHL markets, which is most markets. They only have how many teams right now? 8 or 10 or something like that? Can anyone tell me? So they're touring the country, like, say, the Globetrotters might, to try to drum up some more. Or the, what's that funny baseball team? What are they called again?
Savannah Bananas?
Yeah. So they went to Denver, played at Denver's damn hockey rink there, and drew a crowd of 14,000 people. That's the largest in U.S. history for a women's professional hockey game.
6 teams in the league.
6 only?
Yep,
yeah, I
6.
knew it wasn't a big number.
That's awesome. Incredible.
Denver does not have a club, and the crowd apparently at one point or another started loudly chanting, "We want a team."
That's awesome.
I'm surprised they don't have a team.
Well,
That's a big hockey.
They're trying to
It's a
get some money together, get some things organized. The overall attendance record is 21,000. That was in Canada. A couple of Canadian ladies teams played up in Canada, and they went for 21 grand. But we had 14 grand here in the States, and they're having a lot of fun in that PWHL.
Only 3 of the teams are in the U.S. The other 3 are in Canada.
Yeah. Montreal, Toronto, and Medicine Hat, isn't it? Medicine Hat.
Yep. The Medicine Hat Charge. It's the Ottawa Charge.
Alex Ovechkin became the second player in NHL history to score at least 20 goals in 20 straight seasons. When he scored, he scored Saturday against Nashville. Take a guess what ruins this for me.
Empty netter?
Yeah. His goal against Nashville Saturday was an empty netter. That's what gave him 20 goals in 20 straight season. Of course, he probably would have scored a legitimate one along the line here, but Gordie Howe is the only player with more consecutive 20 goals. As Ovechkin keeps climbing the ladder, we keep repeating the same names over and over again, so I apologize. But Gordie Howe is the only player with more consecutive 20-goal seasons. He had 20 goals, at least, in 22 straight seasons. You got your Gordie Howe and your Alex Ovechkin, and by damn, Ronnie Franfith. But Ron didn't do it in 20 consecutive seasons. Ron did it there was one year where he didn't have 20, and then he came. You see what I'm saying? Not consecutive.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
The difference being that Gordie Howe and Ron Francis, neither one of them ever scored an empty net goal in their entire careers.
I'm sure they did.
Never happened. They had more respect for the game.
They asked the officials not to count it. They said, nope, I will not take that.
Sets the record on an empty net goal. Josh, it's almost like the guy's gunning for me. Like he's trying. Is he trying to piss me off?
Oh, no, he wouldn't do that.
Scoring an empty net goal. Just stupid. Golden Gopher men's hockey split their series at Silly, Ohio State. The Wolves are at the Washington Wizards tonight. This is the game that Josh circled on his calendar months ago.
Yes.
Well, this is a must-win.
Rightly so.
Show me Wolves
Especially
Wizards.
after the loss this weekend.
Right.
What about the loss this weekend?
Well, it's kind of a bad
especially after they blew the game to Memphis.
Yes,
weekend.
that was a frustrating situation against Memphis.
Yeah.
And Washington is terrible, so you got to win this game.
You know, me and the wife watch a lot of Timberwolves basketball. We never miss a game. And last night she said, "Who plays for the Washington Wizards?" And I said, nobody. Absolutely nobody plays for the. Maybe you'll recognize Kyle Kuzma. Or who am I missing?
Right. Well, Kyle Kuzma is probably the guy that you recognize the most, and he's only been playing in the last few weeks because he's been hurt a lot.
Who's the dude that Draymond Green tried to kill? Oh, Jordan Poole.
Yep. Jordan Poole, is he there now?
Jordan Poole, but he's hurt, or has been hurt off and on,
Not
too.
as badly hurt as Draymond Green left him a few years ago.
They have the young 7-footer, the rookie, Alex Sarr, who's having a decent season as a rookie.
When you're 6-31, a lot of guys get mysterious injuries this time of year.
Yeah, no kidding. So, yeah, they're not good. So
yeah, so that'll be 6 o'clock tonight on the FanDuel channel. The loss to Memphis on Saturday night was frustrating. Memphis is really effing good, and the Wolves hung with them the entire time. That was a really entertaining basketball game.
Yeah, Memphis is really tough. When they're healthy, especially with Desmond Bain and Morant back in that backcourt, they're going to be really tough to beat. And Zach Edey adds so much. Doesn't necessarily add offense to their attack, but defensively and rebounds and just intimidation for possible block shots, he does add a lot inside.
Julius Randle had a nice game, but I question what he was trying to do at the end of that game. I mean,
did you not read the story about that final play?
Well, no, I didn't read the story. I just watched the final play.
Okay, yeah. The story I read this morning, and that the final, they had 6 seconds to throw a what do they do in the game?
No, I'm talking about with about 40 seconds left.
Oh.
When he came down and tried to dribble between his legs 3 times and take it one-on-one.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He dribbled it off his foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. The final possession, though, they had a play drawn up, and Edwards decided he wasn't interested in that play last second, and he took it upon himself to chuck up a 3. That was frustrating to read.
Coaches love when you do that.
Yeah, they do. And Finch, I don't know how Finch hasn't had a massive coronary on the court.
You know, I meant to say this the other day, Nick, when we I don't know if you watched the night that Oklahoma City played Cleveland.
No, I didn't.
It was the matchup of the 2 best teams in the NBA. Both had 30 wins and 5 losses or whatever. And I watched that game. Actually, I watched the game start to finish. When you watch those 2 teams play and how they move the ball and how they're unselfish and how they play defense, and then you watch the Wolves, it makes you sick to your stomach. Seriously, it makes you sick to your stomach. Those 2 teams play so well together. I mean, Donovan Mitchell was supposed to be like the superstar coming to Cleveland. He has
like a role player
transformed. He's transformed into a player that facilitates everybody else.
Yeah, he's still their best player, but he gets everybody involved.
Still their best player. It's amazing.
And Alexander's the same way for Thunder. He's their best player, but he gets other people involved. Yeah.
It's amazing how they share the ball, how they move without the ball. It's really, you can see why both those teams were on like these. I think it's the first time 2 NBA teams had played each other and both had a 10-game or longer winning streak when they met each other. I mean, it's phenomenal the way they play.
I've gotten a look at those teams individually, but not against each other, and I guess I probably won't have another.
I'm just saying the way the style they play.
Oh no, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it's like a video game.
And then you watch the Wolves stand around and do one-on-one basketball.
Well, they don't always stand around and do one-on-one basketball.
They pretty much do, Nick.
They pretty much do.
The Wolves are going to get tested later this week. They got the Knicks, Cleveland, and Memphis. Three games in 4 days. So.
Yeah, we'll see how they do tonight against Washington. But yeah, that Memphis game was a track meet. That was fun. Those 2 teams are always entertaining together. Rumor is the Philadelphia 76ers want to make a trade for Naz Reid to be Joel Embiid's backup. Don't even think about coming after Big Jelly.
Don't do that.
I brought him to Minnesota. If you want Naz Reid, you got to go through me, 76ers.
The 76ers have nobody to give the Wolves in return.
I'll stab somebody if Naz Reid gets traded.
Except for maybe Maxey, but Maxey doesn't fit.
They're not going to give him up either.
They're not giving up Naz Reid for Mike Max.
No.
He did a great job covering the riots, but we're not making a trade.
Maxey's one of the hardest working guys around. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, Josh?
He was the best. Covering the riots, he was awesome.
Yeah, he was a total pimp, ice-cold pimp, ice in his veins when he was covering the riots. But I'm not taking him in trade for Naz Reid. Is this correct? A listener texted in to say that Alex Ovechkin leads the NHL all-time in empty net goals.
Probably.
Oh, come on. And I'm supposed to treat this guy like he's comparable to Wayne Gretzky?
Yeah, Ovechkin's got 61.
61 career empty net goals?
Yeah.
Look up Gretzky.
Gretzky
Zero.
has 56.
Zero. No, you're looking at power play goals. He had zero empty net goals. Right, Wop? What were you looking at?
Come on, man.
Empty net goals.
No, you were looking at power play goals. 61 empty net goals in his career. 61 times.
You know
he
what?
basically urinated on the history of the game.
Oh, man.
17 goal difference.
I think Gretzky's number 2.
Yeah.
Sickening.
Yeah.
And then Hossa, and then Brad Marchand.
Oh, my God. See?
There's quite a difference in number one.
He's playing with me. Wapple's playing
who
with
else
me.
is in the top 15? I'm looking at this same list right now. You know who's in the top 15?
Okay, go ahead. Give me this latest BS story.
Zach.
No.
11. Yeah.
Oh,
Never happened.
Oh, no.
I know
30.
He's got 30.
You guys are getting back at me right now for bringing up the Kelvin O'Conrad trade. None of the players that you mentioned outside of Ovechkin. Here's something for you, Brad Ruiter. The Miami Heat, they're looking to trade Jimmy Baby Bottles.
Yeah.
Headline, Jimmy Butler is 35 and doesn't have much value.
Well, if he's 35, there's not much tread left on the tire. I mean, Father Time loses to no one. He doesn't have much left.
You don't have much left.
Well, you're probably right about that.
You sounded so defeated when you said that.
Yeah, you sound like you've had that thought.
Yeah.
You know what, Brad? You might as well just French kiss and get it over with.
A lot of romantic tension today.
Yeah. If I stand on record, if the Vikings trade Kevin O'Conrad, I'll come French kiss Nick.
I'm marking that down. I'm going to make sure this happens.
Yeah, it's like a purple pick'em.
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't happening.
You guys notice you haven't heard me arguing much, have you? Big, handsome...
Not since the empty net goals.
Big, handsome farm boy like you, Brad Ruiter? Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook made NBA history on Friday night, became the first pair of teammates to record a triple-double. They messed around and got a triple-double Friday night. So they became the first pair of teammates to record a triple-double in the same game twice in a season. So twice this season, the teammates, Jokic and Westbrook, have recorded a triple-double.
Westbrook's kind of found a new home and a new life.
I know, it's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's found a place where he can flourish, and they're letting him play, but he's surrounded by such good talent that, it makes him, it's kind of rejuvenated him a little bit.
He doesn't have to try to take over games anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and he's just playing, and he's been really rock solid.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But you're right. You're right about all those things. What else is going on? Golden Gopher dudes basketball playing at the University of Maryland. There's something I said?
Well,
yeah, painful.
Golden Gopher men's basketball, I think is what you said.
Playing it.
He's going through it.
He is.
I mean, they just got clobbered. It's just.
You're really having trouble expressing yourself this morning, Randy.
Yeah.
See if I can get through this. Just this is a test. Golden Gopher dudes basketball playing at the University of Maryland Terrapins tonight. Game starts at 5:30 on the Big Ten channel. Oh, you didn't react that time. So you got it out of your system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You sound so
No, you sound like Brad.
What's the spread on that game?
I don't know the friggin' spread.
They got to be a double-digit dog.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew it was going to be tough for the fellas this year.
Looks like 15 points.
Not this tough.
Well,
what is it, Wapple?
Looks like 15 points.
15 points to Maryland. Oh, my God.
As disgusting as the ending of that Ohio State game was the other night, they were competitive.
Yes.
They were competitive in the first half against Wisconsin on Friday night. They were competitive against Purdue, and I'm sick and tired of losing to Purdue.
Right.
So they've been, I'm just saying it, maybe we should say it could be worse. They could be just getting their guts. Because they could be getting their guts stomped out from start to finish. That would be worse. Right? As opposed to at least being competitive in these games? All right, forget it.
I guess so.
I wouldn't even say
Doesn't sound like I'm able to talk you out of that this morning.
You're not.
That's okay. It's okay. Did anyone see the video?
You know what?
Oh.
It would be different if I hadn't started working in this market in 1983.
Oh, here we go
and
again.
Was at the barn.
Here we go
I'm
again.
serious, though.
Yeah.
I'm serious, and I'm sure I'm like a lot of Gopher basketball fans. That place, that arena, those Saturday afternoons, such an incredible environment to be in, the best. And to see where we are now and where it's been for a long time, it's just so frustrating.
I'll read the schedule of the next few games. You tell me where they're going to win.
All right.
At Maryland.
There you go.
No.
Michigan.
You didn't have to go very far there, Brad Ruiter. They're going to win tonight at Maryland.
Michigan on Thursday.
Never heard of them.
At Iowa.
Oh, my God.
Oregon.
No.
At Michigan State.
No.
Yeah, we get it. We get it.
Okay.
We get it. I mean, but it's not. I mean, Randy Shaver, you have to consider the radical changes in college athletics over the last few years.
I am, Nick.
And you're forgetting that just last year before, they went to the NIT. I mean, Ben Johnson did something with nothing. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. There have been some positive things.
But these changes are happening across all of college basketball, not just here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for that update, Brad Ruiter. Of course I'm aware of that. But they are one of a few programs who have really gotten their asses kicked because of it.
Oh, my God. That's what makes it even more frustrating, is that they have not been able to keep up with what's going on in college basketball.
I understand all that, but if this was 1989 and they were just this miserable friggin' setup, I could understand, but I don't think that
you're giving them a way. You're giving them a way out.
They're not going to listen to me and consider it a way out.
No, what I'm saying is you're giving that program a way out by saying all that. The field is, everybody is under the same rules or lack of rules in college basketball.
And you really thought that the Golden Gophers, when this whole movement started, you thought they'd be right there with give me the big college basketball programs in the country?
I thought they would be much more competitive in the Big Ten than they are right now.
I didn't, because I knew they would be one of those schools that were left behind.
That's why you're okay with this thing.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
I mean,
yeah, I guess that's why I'm okay with it. I just think, just a couple years ago, we were all swinging from Ben Johnson's jock, and now you're doing this, not that I don't agree with you, but you're doing the 1983 story again.
I'm not swinging from Ben Johnson.
Well, I was. We both were quite excited about what he accomplished a couple years. Doesn't matter. Did anyone see the video of the girls' high school basketball game where they beat the living hell out of each other?
Yeah.
No.
That's up on 93x.com.
That was rough.
This was in Seattle, Washington. The girls beat the living hell out of each other on the basketball court after the final whistle. It was like a street fight. Hilarious.
Girls fight dirty, too.
There was hair pulling, wasn't there?
Always.
Yeah.
Some scratching?
You ever snatched a big chunk of hair out of a gal's head?
Nope. No.
And apparently there was a touch of fame, if that's what you want to call it, in the video. Former Timberwolf player Brandon Roy's daughter was on the court, and I think Brandon had to run out there and separate some high school girls.
He started swinging too, actually.
Did he really?
No.
Oh, God.
I was going to say, I missed that. I watched the video.
My God. Scared the hell out of me.
You seem genuinely concerned there.
Well, I was. Wouldn't you be if you find out a dad is punching high school girls?
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought it.
All the parents on the court is what gets me the most. Trying to separate their Just let them fight. Let them fight.
Yeah, sometimes they just got to get through it themselves.
You wouldn't have run out there? None of you would have run out there and gotten involved in the fight?
I just throw a couple punches for fun. Nobody knows me there.
No. I mean, if you had a kid playing in the game.
See, I would.
You would have been the first one out there kicking someone in the ass.
I think I would be so afraid of it somehow going and then like me looking bad or looking like I'm involved.
I like the scenario better where Ashley just goes to random high school events hoping a fight breaks out and runs out of the corner.
Who's your kid? What do you mean?
They're all my kids.
Big win coming tonight for the Vikes.
Let's hope so.
There you friggin' go. We got to get going again. Randy Shaver, Brad Ruiter. Take her easy, fellas. Enjoy the ball game.
Okay.
All right.
You too.
Dial us up, 651-989-9393. If you have a question for the doctor, Dr. P. Jesus is next on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
There's a douchiness to them. The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Dana here for Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. We all know January is one of the coldest months of the year, and not that cheery, fun kind of Christmas cold. Nah, just the dark, dank January cold. Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is well aware of this, and that's why they're offering $40 off a furnace tune-up to keep you warm during the Minnesota cold. The last thing you want is to be huddled around an iffy space heater you bought from some shady targeted ad. Oh, and how about this? Standard Heating and Air Conditioning has now been helping Minnesotans for over 95 years. So book your appointment now at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Hey there, I'm Paula Pan, host of the Afford Anything podcast. I help people make the smartest money decisions possible. How should that money get invested? Why value? Why not growth? We're going to answer all of these questions.
All of them?
All of them! From investing strategies and the thing about tariffs to economic trends and beyond.
In one episode.
In one episode. Can you believe it?
I gotta ask for a raise.
What's 5% of zero?
Oh, crap.
Afford Anything. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Hi, everybody!
Dr. P. Jesus, welcome to the Half-Assed Morning Show.
93X.
Yeah, here we are. Back on the programski. It's 8:25. You're a terrific crowd. Sicknesses are going around. Your knee doesn't work. Your back gives out on you. Trouble breathing.
I keep hearing about this quad-demic, Dr. P.
Trouble passing a stool.
Have you read article, or have you read any articles on this quad-demic?
Oh, you haven't? I was going to ask you about that, too. I just read an article this morning, but I didn't get into the details. The quad-demic, yeah.
Is it?
You haven't heard that one yet, huh?
No, but presumably it's like COVID, flu.
RSV, norovirus.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
My wife has a friend whose family has norovirus. And they're basically just taking turns cleaning up the other person's puke.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
The whole family has got it, and it's really, really bad.
Yeah, you need like a room with a drain in the floor or something. That would be
it sounds
the
like,
best way.
Just get in the shower.
They're all sharing a toilet and a bathtub.
Are you looking up?
Yeah, so I mean, RSV, COVID, and flu are all respiratory illnesses, and I mean, this is the time of year that those are going to be big. RSV. Again, RSV is mostly little kids that that we get concerned about, especially premature babies. But then also older people are more susceptible to it. And there's a vaccine for RSV for older folks now. There's obviously vaccines for COVID and influenza. There is no norovirus vaccine, so it's the only one that's gastrointestinal. But yeah,
I thought maybe we had talked about this recently, maybe not when Dr. P was here, but in a separate segment. How do I catch norovirus?
No, I think we did mention it.
Did
here.
we?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's a gastrointestinal virus, so that means somebody didn't wash their hands well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's why they have those signs in restaurants that employees should definitely wash their hands.
Okay.
And everybody should. But yeah, it's simple as that. And
Josh, haven't you always said that you always pictured that a cruise would be a perfect spot to drown in norovirus fluids?
Yeah, when you said what causes it, I was going to say I think the number one cause is a cruise, because you hear about it. Remember, there was one story a couple of years back where they said the walls were dripping with it. So many people had it. Like toilets kept overflowing. It was terrible.
I mean, it would reach some critical stage where there's no way to fight it because no one can clean themselves that well. I guess I would really not want to be on that boat.
I'm really concerned, or we're all really concerned about a coworker of ours, Chet. Get well soon, Chet. He's been going through it the last couple of weeks. He's been in and out of the hospital. I don't know exactly what's going on with him.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if it's one of these things that's just really got a hold on.
And it's a quadruple whammy. COVID, norovirus, the flu, and what's the other one?
RSV.
RSV.
Yeah, and COVID is it's making a comeback. One of the measurements now is they actually look at wastewater and they can find like evidence of COVID in wastewater, and it's
COVID juices.
COVID juices, basically, and those numbers are up. So I mean, hopefully we're
in the peas and the poos. That's kind of crazy. I remember them talking about that when during the pandemic.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'm not sure you would necessarily catch it from those things. I mean, that's not what we ever really thought was part of that, but it's a way to measure the prevalence in the community, and it's up.
651-989-9393 is our number if you'd like to text in a question for our guest, Dr. P. Jesus. It is wonderful to see you again.
Great to see you.
Hard to believe 2 weeks has gone by.
That's exactly, Josh sent me a thing on Friday, and I was like, sure, I'll be there Monday, but wasn't I just there this week?
It does seem that way at times, doesn't it?
Somehow, yeah, I don't know.
It's freaky, dude.
The older you get, the faster it goes, right?
They do say that.
So, kidney stones. Someone here says, had my first kidney stone at the age of 50. Will this make me more susceptible to get more in the future?
Well, I mean, having the kidney stone itself, I would say, doesn't make you more susceptible, but the fact that you developed one means there's either some sort of genetic predisposition, or you maybe got really dehydrated, or what are you laughing at, Nick?
Go right ahead.
Or maybe you got put on some kind of medication that made it more likely. There's sort of a classic thing is one of the common blood pressure medicines called hydrochlorothiazide, HCTZ, is just a mild diuretic, but it's sort of a first-line blood pressure medicine, and that can, for some people, precipitate kidney stones. So if that's the case, getting off that medication, being on something different, hopefully prevents it. I mean, you wouldn't. I think people who really, really have trouble typically start earlier in life, just because they're calcium concentrators or whatever you want to call it, where they just get tons of stones. Yeah. So maintaining hydration, maybe thinking about any medications that are new, any dietary changes that you've made recently that might have led to something.
I feel for guys like Kidney Stone Jesus, who I've met, really nice guy, and he kind of told me, he's texted back and forth over the years, and he's telling me when we met kind of what he's been going through, and I can't remember the number. It's staggering, hundreds that he's had in operations and everything.
So that's unusual, thankfully, but yeah, he's got something about his metabolism is just having, presumably they're calcium stones. That's the most common, although there are other types. But yeah, some people are just kind of constantly making them. And
sounds miserable.
Yeah. It's pretty miserable. I mean, at least, there are treatments now that at least there's more treatments available. I mean, they can blast them with ultrasound and instead of like literally having to surgically remove them, but none of it's fun.
What about a good shot to the kidneys? Just an elbow back there.
I'll knock one loose probably. But
I got $5 says I never get kidney stones because I'm the most hydrated sumbitch in the county. I like to keep myself well hydrated. The reason I was laughing, Dr. P, I apologize.
No, that's okay.
You were trying to do your job and answer the question, and I read a text message that was very funny. So we opened our conversation here about the Quadrasaurus virus that's ripping through town. The Quadravirus, what do they call it again?
Quademic.
The Quademic. It's a mixture of COVID and the flu and other things. Sharp as a bowling ball, Jesus texted in to say, well, I'm headed to Menards right now to tell everyone to mask up for COVID. Who's with me?
Right. I know. Hope you didn't throw out all those masks.
I've been seeing more and more of them.
It really is making a resurgence this winter more than it has in the last couple of years.
Hang on to something.
I went to the hospital, maybe it was about a week and a half ago, and...
Just for fun?
Yeah, I was just hanging out there.
She loves the ice.
I have okay, I do love that ice, though.
She plays the banjo for the kids in the what do they call the kids department there?
Pediatric ward?
Pediatric ward,
yeah,
yes.
I do my part.
What were you doing over there? What did you find out over there?
I've never seen a waiting room that busy in my life, and everybody was masked up. People were coughing on each other. It was just, and people looked like down and out. I mean, one girl came in, I felt so bad for her. She brought in her own puke bucket with her. I was like, oh, this girl is down bad.
The puke bucket, a.k.a. the popcorn bucket.
Yeah. And I was in there for 4 hours, and I wasn't anywhere near as bad as some of those people. I eventually left just because it took a while, and I didn't want to get the flu while I was there. And she still wasn't seen yet. I was like, oh, you poor thing.
It can be a rough operation over there.
Yeah, it's bad.
Kidney Stone Jesus, he was listening. He checked in.
Yeah.
He said 82 surgeries and passed 800 without surgery.
Oh, my God.
It's too bad he can't. I mean, he can almost sell those for profit. That's enough calcium. You know,
can you make something out of that?
like a mineral company. But that is crazy.
Sounds like he could build something with
That's
that.
true, too.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's in a record book at the hospital or something.
Make himself
that's pretty bad. Yes.
Make himself a model of the Fauché Tower or something out of his.
Oh my gosh!
Is that still standing in town? The Fauché. I drugged that out of nowhere, Cubby.
No, it's still there.
Okay.
Wonderful hotel.
Fauché maintenance Jesus checks in from time to time.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, he checks in.
Dr. P. Jesus, for tonight's game, a listener has started their text by saying, for tonight's game, what are the signs of a heart attack? So you know ahead of time, honestly, I better make a phone call.
That's a disturbing thing to think about. I bet every Vikings game there are probably events precipitated by the stress of it. Well, I mean, people talk about chest pain. I would say when most of us think of pain, we think of sharp things, like ouch. The main thing that is really of concern for a heart attack is probably not that. It's more like a pressure or a squeeze in the chest that just seems very different than anything you would get. It's not like a strained muscle. It's not.
My mother.
It's not a skin. It's a weird pressure squeeze. Probably something's wrong.
My mother has smoked through 2 heart attacks, and she always said, when you have a heart attack, you'll know. But that can't cover all cases, but she always said, you'll know when you're having a heart attack.
I think definitely once you have had one, you will know.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of denial the first time around just because people are like, well, it could be heartburn. It could be, I don't want it to be a heart attack. But yeah, if it's a pressure squeezing, especially if you're starting to sweat, if you're like, wow, there's pressure in my chest and my arm feels kind of funny. Again, not like sharp pain down your arm like you just, whacked it on something, but like vague. So vague pressure anywhere in the chest, throat, upper torso, especially if you're someone who's, got high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, sort of, then definitely, you're more at risk for it. But
don't women have some they can have some different symptoms? I've heard.
I would say the classic symptoms, whether it's just historical information or whether it's from studies about heart attacks, is mostly about how men react to it. So yes, it's a pretty well-known fact that women can be suffering from a heart attack and will be kind of poo-pooed at the emergency room, like you're just stressed or you're having an anxiety attack, because maybe it's a little more subtle or different.
It hits us bros a little harder.
And it may just be that guys put it off. Well, or guys put off going in till it's the real deal. And maybe women are a little more attuned to things that they show up earlier. That's complete speculation, but
I mean, as long as Ashley doesn't have to wait too long, she'll go to a doctor if she needs to.
Yep. I believe in the medical system. They get me through some stuff.
You mentioned you assume that every Vikings game, there's got to be someone out there who has a medical situation because of the
I would think though
that would make sense mathematically. Of all the people who watch the ball games, there's got to be someone out there who has some kind of an episode. Now, Josh might remember this. There was this, and you might too, Dr. P. There's a legendary story here in town, and I want to say it was the '87 World Series, and I want to say it was when Randy Bush made that gorgeous headfirst slide into home plate. I can't remember which game it was against the Cardinals. That there was a Twins fan here in town who got so excited at the sight of it that the sumbitch dropped dead of a heart attack right then and there.
Now, I don't know if he's joking or not, but redheaded metal-bending Jesus said the Vikings caused heart attacks before it killed my great-uncle. So I don't know if he's messing around or really if he just got so excited or heartbroken.
And let's just be clear. I don't think we should blame the Vikings or any sports team. But
I'm going to ask Vikings insider Charlie Walters. Now, that's a reference to a joke told about an hour ago.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Randy just threw an empty beer can across the room.
Just to point out, we could also say, hey, it's Monday. Some people are going to have some heart attacks. Let's blame it on Monday. I mean,
statistically, that is a factor, isn't it?
I've heard that.
Well, I'm just saying, every day it happens.
Yeah. I thought Monday mornings were the most typical time to have a grabber.
I don't know if I guess I don't know that. I mean,
let's see. I'll look it up.
Overnight, late night, into the morning. The wee hours of the morning is the most common time, seemingly for men, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard the Monday thing before.
Yeah, you're right. Monday.
I thought I'd heard that before, too.
Why that? I mean, the stress of work, I guess.
Yeah, you beat the living hell out of yourself on the weekend with the drinking and the drugs.
Yeah.
Cheating on the wife, this and that. Monday comes around, oh, God, I got to go back to work.
It's a whole 11% higher on Mondays. That's, wow.
I guess I haven't. It's been. I always had Monday off.
Redheaded metal-bending Jesus, he's gotten back to us about his great-uncle. He said it's 100% true.
Guy dropped dead watching a Vikes game?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's horrible.
That is true.
What a miserable, for that to be the last thing that you see.
So be careful out there.
36-year-old female, 115 pounds, texting in here, and already apologizing for the beginning of her text, says, I know this is TMI, but I only go number 2 maybe once a week. Is this super unhealthy? Something to be concerned about?
Boy, I bet it's a keeper, too.
Oh, I can imagine. At least a double flusher.
That's a wall hanger.
Oh, that makes my stomach hurt.
You would think it would have to be.
That is a wall hanger.
That is someone who should invest in a poop knife. Have you ever heard of a poop knife?
Oh, my gosh. My brother had one of those.
To go digging? Like a...
No. Just to make sure you can get her all down.
Chop it up a little bit.
Yep.
That's the most horrible thing. I hate it when you talk about the poop.
Somebody texted in once and told us their family had a poop knife, and none of us knew what that was.
Horrible.
And then we got a bunch of people that texted in and said, no, it's pretty common.
Yep, my family had one.
Is it just a knife from the kitchen that dedicated to the toilet?
Hopefully dedicated.
We had a dedicated cup that you put the knife in.
Sometimes when you're in a pinch, though, you get the nice steak knife out.
Well, so if you need a poop knife, probably you may have a problem.
So once a week.
Once a week, that's a problem.
That seems pretty sparse, but I'd say the main thing is that been her pattern since she was a kid. If it has, and she's grown and been healthy and hasn't had any medical problems, then it may just be her. I'd say that is unusual. Yeah.
I mean, if she walks around at 115, by the end of the week, what do you think she's at?
I mean, it's all the food
120?
All the solid part of, all the non-liquid component of the food you eat, yeah. That seem... Crazy. So, I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong, but it's the kind of thing, if somebody came in and told me that, I would, again, you'd be asking, has this changed over time? That would clearly be something to be, to send us in a certain direction. I mean, you check thyroid function, you do an exam of their abdomen to see, does things seem abnormal? Maybe some imaging and, maybe a colonoscopy, but it's, I think there are people out there who are just wired that way.
Isn't that something?
With infants, it's pretty notorious for it to vary. Some kids will poop their diaper 5 times a day, and some kids won't poop, they'll poop a couple times a week or something. And that's, especially with breastfed kids, that's considered pretty normal, that variation, as long as they're not in pain, they're not, as long as they're growing. So, at least she doesn't use a lot of toilet paper.
Offended millennial Jesus says.
What a great roommate she'd be.
Offended millennial Jesus, except for that once a week, right? That'd be bad.
That day. You want to clear out.
That's the day I'm going to
circle that on the calendar. Offended millennial Jesus said he just uses a Milwaukee Sawzall to take care of things.
Dude.
Wow. Yeah, if you need that,
power right through
it.
Dr. P. Jesus is in studio here taking questions from our listening audience. Now, I have a text that has just come in. We were talking about heart attacks. and how there might be a little bit of a difference between how a female experiences a heart attack and how a male experiences one. Here is the text from Ask Me About CrossFit Jesus. He says female heart attacks are different in that after the pain kicks in, they blame the whore that their man dated in high school.
What were you thinking?
This is your fault.
Before we take a break, it's her fault. Yeah, the whore that you dated in high school. Before we take a break, because there's plenty of questions coming in. My damn, did we have a terrible, awful, sickening, life-changing story in our stupid news report that I wanted you to comment on. A gal accidentally wore a butt plug to an MRI. And what she didn't know was that there was some metal in that butt plug. Don't ask us why the hell she wore it to her MRI. There are numerous reasons why.
Yeah.
Maybe she just forgot. But she did. She thought it was all silicone, and in the end, there was some metal in there. And, of course, when they flipped the switch on that MRI, the magnet sucked that butt plug, which, of course, was in her little bottom, all the way up into her chest cavity.
Oh.
The woman is alive, but barely. Have you ever heard anything like that before in your wonderful medical career?
I guess I haven't heard of anything that. I mean, they really. You would think somebody would think. Well, I don't know. Unless you're used to walking around with that thing in.
There are folks who do that. Yeah.
Do they really?
But just, I mean, have you ever heard a story of the MRI attendant forgetting their keys, or boom, and the thing goes shooting across the room?
I guess thankfully none of my patients or patients of partners I heard any terrible stories. I mean, I'd say the main thing we always worry about is something more subtle, like they always ask, do you work with metal, or do you work in your garage? Because little flecks of metal in your eye can cause a problem.
Yeah, Cubby brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think that's probably the one that you worry about.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Because hopefully the other things are obvious.
Yeah.
I've had a couple, and they've been so good. I mean, they ask you so many questions.
Yeah, and usually it's a form you fill out, and they ask you the questions. Yeah. I mean, they're really trying
all over it.
The other route we took.
Have to add that. They might have to add that to the question list, which they don't. I don't think.
What's your butt plug status?
The other route we took was this, and then we'll take a break. If you're the doctor who has to help this woman, a butt plug has just been sucked at the speed of sound from someone's anus to their chest cavity. As a doctor, no matter your level of experience, where in the hell do you start? When you crack that lady open, where in God's name do you start?
Yeah, because what would be? I guess I'd be curious whether it. I mean, it was in her colon.
Oh.
Did it literally get blown out of the colon, or did it? I mean,
what kind of sound do you think that would make? Like a whistling?
A wet tearing. I think.
Oh, Doc!
That's the biggest reaction I've ever gotten here. I'm gonna rate that term
like
down.
Tearing a wet sock in half,
or a quick tear of a huge steak.
Oh, yeah.
All right, I'm going to write that one
down,
too.
The ripping of wet ground beef.
Yeah, so that's really the thing, and it would be...
Oh, there it goes.
Nice. Boy, that is violent, though. I would assume it probably got pulled through the colon wall, and it's up in her chest cavity, so then it would be getting that thing out of there, and then trying to figure out...
How does somebody live through that?
Yeah, I mean, that's remarkable.
Great icebreaker.
Yeah, and all the doctor has at his disposal is a poop knife. Where does he begin?
Yeah, right.
Where
are you going to cut first?
Dr. P. Jesus.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Yeah, Dr. P's here helping folks out with the health issues. 651-989-9393 is our telephone text line thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. That's the number you punch in to text us if you have a question. Cold water therapy for illnesses. Have you heard of such a thing, Dr. P?
That's like a big deal now, right? Those cold water plunges. There's even... I don't know if you call them a spa or what you call them, where you jump into a hot tub and then you jump into the cold tub.
I haven't heard this yet. Now, a guy says, my wife got me a cold dunk tank for Christmas. Have you heard about the benefits of cold water therapy for illnesses.
I know a couple people that swear by it.
Yeah,
I've done it.
I've read about it a little bit. I mean, there's all sorts of purported benefits, and you're essentially doing like the polar plunge at home. I think the water is usually in the 40s, so it's cold. I mean, it's really, really cold. I guess I don't really see what it could do, but yeah, people talk about it helping with joints, circulation.
Well, I can certainly understand, aching joints and injuries where cold water would be good, but
Seems
illnesses?
trendy nowadays.
Okay, this is the first I've heard of it, Josh. So what are people doing? Just getting in a tub full of cold water?
So sometimes what they'll do is they'll jump into a hot tub, and then they'll jump into the cold plunge, or just sit in that thing.
I mean,
and this will get rid of what, in their opinion, in their
all
words?
kinds of stuff.
The flu, a cold.
By the way, I'm just saying what they're saying.
I understand.
I have no idea.
I mean, there's definitely. I mean, again, people do all sorts of stuff though that they read is good for them, and I mean, I have actually tried it. I hate to say pickleball, but a pickleball place. I'll mention them too because it's unique. Chips Pickleball and
Egan,
yeah. I mean, it's a cool place. The guy
who live a little, will you?
The guy who owns it's very nice. But he built a little spa thing that has a sauna, so dry heat basically, and then the cold plunge. And I mean, I did do it just to try it. It's shockingly cold, and you really can only stay in there for a few minutes, and your teeth are chattering.
I thought it was going to be a lot worse.
What did you do, Ashley?
I did the same thing. It was actually at a gig at 5D Wellness is where I did it, and the temp I think it was 38 degrees. The water was. And
what were you trying to straighten out?
Well, actually, so what I was doing was competing with somebody else to see who could stay in longer. So it was just kind of a fun little bit. And I managed to last probably 50 seconds, which I thought was a lot, but the person that I was going against lasted over 3 minutes. And I don't think I could do that, but it's not, once you get past the bits and pieces on the bottom, it's all right.
I was just going to ask Dr. P, when you do the hot thing and then the cold thing, does your penis get mad at you or is it very confused? Like, what do you want me to do here?
I mean, nobody commented on mine when I was jumping back and forth. So.
Confused is a good word. I'm in Jamaica. Now I'm in Antarctica.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I mean, it's... Yeah, actually, I don't know. It's so cold that you're not even paying attention to that. You're like, I was more afraid, like, is my heart going to stop?
Again, I can understand how it would help aching joints and a knee injury, but I don't see how it could help me if I have a terrible cold.
Yeah, because don't athletes, haven't they been doing that for years?
Yeah, and so again, it may do things. In my training, I don't have any experience to support or turn people away from it. Because I mean, the other thing that is out there, and I'm trying to, it's not cold water therapy, but it's like cryo tanks where you get in a thing that's like, isn't it like liquid nitrogen kind of cold? I mean, it is super cold, and I'm not sure how long you stay in there. So it takes it to a whole different level.
Oh my gosh!
Do you know something about it?
You have warts falling off of you that you never knew were there.
I'm picturing
Solo.
I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's and we don't have a break. But yeah, it takes it to a whole new level. And again, it's I don't know. In Minnesota, you can just walk outside on a t-shirt and
especially a day like today,
for a couple minutes and do it for free. But I'll look that up for next time just to see if there is any evidence that, because it's a good question. I mean, but again, people do lots of things because it feels good, or they feel invigorated by it. I mean, it's certainly invigorating. It wakes you up. Like
I'd imagine. All right, how about this then? Since we were talking butt stuff before the break, from dubbed famous Mises, I like the way he phrased this. Are you more likely to get hemorrhoids if you dabble in anal?
Oh boy.
Oh wow.
I don't think so. No.
That's when the trouble started for me and Cubby, I'll tell you that.
Here's the problem. You start with dabbling, and pretty soon you're at the prolapse level.
Well, I mean, that's true. There's a few steps in between, but I don't think so. I mean, hemorrhoids. I'm not sure hemorrhoids don't really come from insertion. they come from pressure from above, basically. So constipation or bearing down or, heavy weightlifting, being pregnant, having a baby pushing down.
That's all hemorrhoid stuff?
Yeah, basically things that cause pressure on the veins in the abdomen, and that causes bulging of the veins down around the anus.
All right. Well, so you're saying no.
Go ahead and dabble.
Isn't that something?
But if you're having an MRI, do not dabble that day.
No, keep that butt plug out of there, we've learned. Strength coach Jesus has an answer on cold shock and heat shock. He said it works by stimulating adaptive responses, which may strengthen the immunity and prevent illnesses. Cold shock, such as ice baths, boost circulation, reduce inflammation, and activate immune cells. Heat shock promotes detoxification, and then a whole bunch of other things.
Could be.
I said, I know a couple people that they do it a couple times a week. They jump from the hot tub to the cold tub.
Yeah, and I mean, he could be right. I guess I'd be very curious to see the research that documents that immune cells are actually stimulated by that.
Right.
And I'll try to look that up.
Like you said, there's a long list of wacky things that people.
And I'm not gonna, I don't. If people want to do those things, as long as they're not getting hurt, hey, great. And
remember those folks who are sun tanning their anuses?
Oh, yeah. Perennial
sunning. Okay, that I'm gonna say is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do in my spare time.
Or with your anus.
True enough.
On that note, we got to get. But we always appreciate you.
Yeah, great to be here.
Dr. P.
Thanks for coming in on such a cold day.
You betcha. Get back into bed.
Happy belated 43rd birthday to orgasm donor Jesus from your best buddy, drill till it squirts Jesus.
What the hell?
I don't know. I don't know. I just read them.
Terrible.
As you guys know from our friend Gabe, who made his NHL debut last week, I just read them. Old man Jesus texting a happy birthday shout out to his son Justin, who's 24 today. And once again to our friend and coworker Chet. Get well soon.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. New episodes drop each weekday. If your podcast platform has ratings, go ahead and give us 5 stars and maybe give our enemies 1. Thanks, and here's a word from our sponsor.
Dana here for Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. We all know January is one of the coldest months of the year, and not that cheery, fun kind of Christmas cold. Nah, just the dark, dank January cold. Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is well aware of this, and that's why they're offering $40 off a furnace tune-up to keep you warm during the Minnesota cold. The last thing you want is to be huddled around an iffy space heater you bought from some shady targeted ad. Oh, and how about this? Standard Heating and Air Conditioning has now been helping Minnesotans for over 95 years. So book your appointment now at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.